Educator of the Year is first. There they are. All right, so Educators of the Year.
That's all right. I know some of them are a little deformed, so.
Oh, Mike, this is for you. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Talking to myself.
Am I also doing the retirements too, right?
You're doing the retirements. I think the PTO is doing the Teachers of the Year.
Okay. Yeah, I just grabbed them all just in case. Try and get some memories in the gym class. With the jump.
You can recognize them. Just say.
You're good. Yeah. It'd be funny. It'd be ironic. Yep.
All right, there's that. This.
So, are you sick or just cautious?
My son's sick, and I'm pretty sure.
Oh, you are. Okay.
So I tested negative this morning. Figured I'd wear the
I'm
mask
not-
so that way tomorrow.
I'm not concerned. I just, there was a box of tissues. I guess that was for you. Good. Good.
Yeah, you can say.
My hand sanitizer, my cough drop.
But you just said you weren't going to do that.
Here we go.
I'm just going to say,
Okay. You ready?
I'm just saying.
Oh, if you want, I can.
I'm just, yeah,
I just, whatever you want. That's fine.
Let's just say.
I just want to double check it.
No, not a thing other than you can get a body address. So I put this thing up there on the podium. Who are we waiting on down there? Robert and Angela.
No, it was like 7:15.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I've never done this scenario before, so.
What are we doing?
The awards first. Should be, I think.
I don't think.
I mean, it should be under
Angela?
superintendent's. Here we go.
All right, can I have a motion to return to public session?
So move, Mike.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, can we please stand for the flag salute? But I am going to ask that if we can remain standing at the end of the Pledge of Allegiance for a moment of silence for the 19 children and 2 teachers whose lives were cut short, and for the family, friends, student, teachers, and administrators of the United Texas School District. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. All right, board correspondence, Julie.
Thank you. We had 2 items of correspondence. We received a letter regarding the recycling at the Columbia Middle School from Going Greener at CMS, and an email regarding some questions about programming and fees by Ms. Jolly. We also have on the agenda tonight 2 donations, 2 very generous donations. One from Garden State Fireworks, who will be donating fireworks to the high school graduation, and a donation from Sanofi, who they are donating to the high school biological life science material. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. Report to the student representative. Catherine.
Is this on? Yeah.
You can just get a little close, yeah.
Perfect. Hi, everyone. I have some exciting news. In-person AP testing season is officially over, and students are gearing up for Memorial Day break, senior prom, and the end of the school year. The freshmen, sophomores, and juniors are very excited to be nearing the end of their very first full year in person at GL. I also want to say congratulations to the Spring Varsity Awards athletes, as well as everyone who was inducted into the Athletic Honor Society last night. This doesn't mean that GL students have checked out of school quite yet. Maybe a couple of the seniors have, like Tomas, but anyway, for the most part, it's quite the opposite. Aside from preparing for finals, students are organizing and participating in activities inside and outside of school. The artistic activities at GL are more active than ever. The guitar club has continued to hold regular meetings, and more students have been gaining an interest in learning how to play the instrument in these past few months. This past week, art, writing, and music students participated in the 2022 Union County Teen Arts Festival. At this festival, students performed musical pieces and showcased their art and writing with other students at the Watchung Reservation. Additionally, GL Trend organized a positivity rock garden during the AP testing season. Students were invited to paint rocks and relax, and it really helped to boost everyone's mood and spread some smiles throughout the school. Students are also finishing off the year strong by giving back to the community. GL student ambassadors and GL Trend are coordinating a drive for Operation Shoebox, where they are collecting items like soap, shampoo, and canned foods to donate to active military members. The Student Movement Against Cancer organized activities in early May to fundraise for Relay for Life. The club held a Spirit Week at school, decorated the school to celebrate, and encouraged students to participate in the Relay for Life event in Berkeley Heights this past weekend. Aside from community service and artistic activities, GL has many exciting events lined up for the next few weeks. The GL Student Ambassadors is organizing an alumni tour for the class of 72 on June 25th. And in addition to this summer, GL will be offering its College Jumpstart program for rising seniors to get a head start on their college application essays. The National Honor Society, Science National Honor Society, and many clubs at GL are working to elect new executive board members for the next school year, and they have many exciting plans for the future. And finally, I want to say thank you to everyone who ordered flags or made a donation to the Class of 2023 Student Council. The flags should be up around Berkeley Heights and Mountainside now, so keep an eye out for those, and we appreciate all of your support.
Turning to sports, the season-long hard work dedicated by athletes and coaches are finally being put to the test as they compete in their final competitions of the year. Thanks to the commitment of all involved, all teams saw improvement over the course of the year, improving their times and scores. The boys lacrosse team finished 8-11 with season highs coming from their senior night win over Dayton and an 8-6 win over Johnson after losing 16-2 in their first contest against them. The girls lacrosse team also saw similar success, finishing with a winning record of 11-8 with big wins over Milburn, Newark Academy, and Villa Walsh on senior night. The golf team finished 2-10, facing strong competition from numerous county and state winners, but ended the season with a strong win over Summit. The young team gained experience playing in county and sectional tournaments, which will serve them well in the coming years. The softball team finished with an impressive 14-9 record. Though it took time for the team to find their stride, they eventually found it, winning 11 out of 13 matches near the middle of their season and advancing to the semifinal round of the sectional tournament. The baseball and track teams are making the most of the last few competitions and practices as they prepare for upcoming competitions. Yesterday, the boys track team competed at the first day of the Union County Championship, where Cal Savino placed 7 in the 100, 200, and 400 meter competition, and Bryce Facey finished first in the high jump, clearing a height of 6 feet 4 inches. The season also saw records being broken as the 4x100 meter relay team of Bryce Facey, Cal Savino, Jared Lee, and Alex Mika broke the school record with a time of 43 seconds. Lastly, the baseball team currently stands at 19-6 and were ranked in NJ.com's top 20 teams in the state for 4 weeks. With an early upset in the Union County tournament to Dayton, the team is looking to make deep strides in the state tournament next Thursday against Delaware Valley on the Hill. Regardless of the outcomes, all athletes have immensely enjoyed the experience of competing this spring season. The young core of many teams makes them confident that they can build upon this year's success in future years. Thank you.
Thank you, Tomas. I do want to say one thing, and I'm going to add a little bit to the student report, even though I'm not a student, to recognize Catherine on a great job. So at the last meeting, you talked about that flag program, and I want to thank you for bringing that up, because actually, again, also a big shout out to Ms. Manganelli, who also reached out to me to provide the information. But I had some additional information I want to add to that. So for everyone to know about the flag program, they sold close to 2,000 American flags that were put up around this. These flags were put up by 33 students, and I have the names. I'd like to just read them out real quick if you can bear with me, and I apologize in advance if I mispronounce it. So the spearheading of the project was Catherine and Kavaya Kasula. Did I say that right? Kavya, thank you. So they spearheaded the project to put together and went out and sold the 2,000 flags, and then 33 students put them up: Ethan Wong, Ryan Wetterer, Lauren O'Rourke, Joseph Frank, Kaya Kasula, David Andrews, Matthew LaGuardia, Sophia Judicious, I apologize, Catherine, Allison Elaine Mandrakas, Danielle Casper, Adrian Lindy, Alex Mika, Sarah Teitelbaum, Brianna Monaco, Kate Curran, Brianna Duchetti, Hayden Osborne, Patrick Sheehan, Kyle B., Daniel Burkow, Jonathan Rami, Colin Keisler, Sophia Vega, Dante Gioia, Aiden Racelis, Lucia Napoli, Colin Goldbeck, Kyra Ford, Kelly Hanratty, Georgia, I apologize in advance, Chris Anthopoulos, and Braden Kakamo. I want to say thank you to them. When the student came to our door, rang the doorbell, the dog went nuts as I'm on a Zoom call as always. Couldn't understand what was going on until I came out, and the way the flags were placed was very respectful, put around the house and everything on display. So again, something to look toward to next year. So again, thank you, Catherine, for that work. Any question from the board for our 2 student representatives? Okay, thank you. Dr. Varley, the floor is yours.
Okay, good evening, everyone. As I wrote my superintendent's report on Tuesday morning, it was upbeat and celebratory, as befitting this wonderful occasion that we're having tonight. But this morning, 19 elementary schools and 2 teachers did not wake up to go to school. I'm filled with anger at the senseless of it all, the feeling of helplessness, hopelessness, cynicism, disgust, and just a deep, deep sorrow, of course, for those families living this unimaginable tragedy, but also for our students who have to go to school with this threat in their worlds. We as a district do everything in our power to keep our students safe, in tandem with the Berkeley Heights Police Department. But we need our politicians to come together to do more. This is not about politics, left, right, or center. It is our children's safety. Tonight, I'm asking our Board of Education to commit to developing and then passing a resolution that will be sent to our governor, senators, and representatives, urging them to finally address this awful issue. I would ask you, as parents, to let your voices be heard as well. Now I'll get to the more fun part of my agenda. I want to thank Miss Amy Wartell's culinary arts class for providing the snacks tonight. If you didn't have the cookies, you need to go have a cookie. The cookies are fabulous. Tonight, we are here to celebrate our teachers and our retirees. But before we do, I want to take a moment to celebrate some of our district and student accomplishments that our teachers and retirees helped to bring about. The excellent programs of Berkeley Heights Public Schools are being noticed.
The New Jersey Department of Education came to review our preschool programs to use as an exemplar of best practice. Cranford Public Schools visited GLHS to review our consultative model. And finally, New Providence has done a deep dive on our full-day kindergarten program at Woodruff. So Berkeley Heights Public Schools is getting notice for its excellence. I also want to highlight our tremendous participation rates for athletics this year. 74% of our students participated in an athletic program. It is really gratifying to know our students are trying to engage in their entire high school experiences. And then finally, a brief listing of our college acceptances. Although a full list of our acceptances are coming soon, we have Boston University, Bucknell University, Caldwell University, Duke University, Elon University, Fairleigh Dickinson, Florida State, Hofstra, Michigan State, Ohio State, Princeton, the University of Georgia, Villanova University, and Xavier University. And now I'm going to turn it to our Teachers of the Year, Ms. Acosta and Ms. Bartlett. Would you like to explain our process?
Thank you, and good evening, everyone. Ms. Acosta and I are the co-chairs of the Educator of the Year Committee, and it is with great pleasure that we speak to you this evening. As educators, we look to inspire and make a difference in the lives of children. We strive to establish productive classroom climate and rapport with students while keeping up with current trends and strategies that are most effective for their learning. Tonight, we honor and celebrate educators who have made lasting impressions on the lives of their students, parents, and colleagues. In January, letters were sent and posted inviting parents, students, staff members, and community members to select nominees that they felt best exhibited the qualities of an Educator of the Year. In nominating this year's candidates, we sought teachers who demonstrated highly effective engagements with their students, dedicated service to their school and community, and demonstrated significant commitment to their own professional growth as lifelong learners. Additionally, we, the administration, considered the evaluation piece and incorporated it into the process when choosing our recipients.
Based on those nominations, a committee composed of prior Educators of the Year, members of the PTO, and a member of our Board of Education met to complete the silent voting selection process. Ballots were counted, and our 2021-2022 Educators of the Year were selected. Dr. Varley, Mrs. Bartlett, and I were excited to travel to each school this year to visit and congratulate each Educator of the Year in their classroom. The students in each class enthusiastically congratulated their teachers and took part in photographs to commemorate the event. Educators of the Year, Gail Bradford, Belinda Healy, Heather McGarry, Susan Pogue, Lauren Ryan, and Christine Tallarico. We thank you for your dedication to the students and families of Berkeley Heights. Tonight, we celebrate you. I would now like to turn it over to Dr. Varley as she introduces and honors each recipient.
So I'm going to first start out at Mary Kay McMillan. I'm going to invite Katie D'Angelo to come up here if there she is. Okay. So Lauren Ryan's career in education spans 41 years. In addition to her 32 years of dedication to Berkeley Heights as a health and physical education teacher, she also taught at Immaculate Heart Academy, Westfield, and Roxbury schools. Ms. Ryan has a Bachelor of Science degree in physical education and health from East Stroudsburg University, a master's degree from Montclair University, and a second master's degree from Kean University in counseling. Principal Annie Corley describes Ms. Ryan as a teacher who was always willing to adapt her plans, often with little notice, to support school initiatives. This year, she creatively used chairs as wheelchairs, scooters as skis, hoops as targets, and piers as guides, providing multiple opportunities for the Mary Kay McMillan students to participate in simulated Paralympian sporting events. She expanded these activities by sharing the inspirational achievements of Paralympians from around the world. Many families share the profound impact these activities had on their child. It is no surprise that when asked, students almost always say physical education is the best part of their day. Ms. Ryan's colleagues shared that she is an educator that makes a conscious effort to include all learners in her lessons. She modifies lessons for the children with specific needs and their IEPs. kids who have come with different physical abilities, and kids who need extra helping hand in gym. She is an absolute gem in the Berkeley Heights Public Schools community. She always has a positive attitude, which is evident in her smiles, her personal greetings to each child, and her inclusive nature. She is a valuable member of our school community, and we are all lucky to have her as our physical education teacher. Miss Lauren Ryan, will you come up, please?
The presidents of the Mary Kay McMillan PTO are sorry that they couldn't be here tonight, but I'm happy to be here in their stead. And I had a student at Mary Kay not so long ago, so I can certainly say that Mrs. Ryan is a shining light there, and we are proud to present this award to her. Congratulations.
Thank you. Do I speak? Yeah, you speak. Okay, great.
Thank you so much for that wonderful description. Thank you so much. Dr. Varley, Mr. McKinney, Mrs. Kopaz, Board of Education, administrators, parents, teachers, students, families, and friends. Thank you so much. It's such a wonderful honor to be named Mary Kay McMillan Early Childhood Center's Teacher of the Year. I work in a wonderful building. I work with terrific educators, and it's the reason why Mary Kay McMillan School is such a special place to go to. As has been said, I've been teaching in Berkeley Heights for 33 years and 41 years total. Every morning I'm on car line duty, and I'm opening car doors for students to get out. And some of the drivers coming up are students that I had many years ago. So I have been around. I always wanted to be a teacher. I loved going to school. I loved my teachers. I wanted to be just like them. When we were kids, we played school. I was the teacher. So when I was in high school, I decided to pursue a degree in health and physical education. I was really good in sports. I loved being active, and I thought, boy, what a perfect fit that would be. So I received my degree in 1979, and I came upon Berkeley Heights in 1985. And I have the privilege of saying that I have taught in almost every school. I started out at Columbia Middle School, and then from there I went to Hughes, and then Mountain Park, and then Woodruff, and then Mary Kay McMillan. I think the best might have been saved for me for last. I wanted to share, as in my description about the Paralympic Games, I wanted to share that a few months ago, I probably taught one of the best units of my entire career. When Annie, our boss, had asked us to she created an initiative to provide knowledge and information for students on the Paralympic Games. The games were starting the following week. I got my students really excited about it. We kept talking about it. It was on television. And so I did some research. I created some events. And I thought, well, here goes. Let's see what happens with this. My students loved it. We did wheelchair curling in chairs. We did the biathlon, sled hockey. Students had the chance to be a guide in a para cross-country skiing activity. And our skiers were perceptually impaired. They could not see well. And of course, my students asked, well, can we shut our eyes? And I said, absolutely not. Eyes are open. Anyway, students really shone as guides. They showed such care and compassion for their partner. They had to use verbal directions, and my skiers were on paper plates, pool noodles, and guiding them through gates, which were cones placed throughout the gym. And students gave great directions. I even had little kindergartners clapping their hands and saying to their partner, follow the sound of my claps, follow the sound. It was just beautiful to see. And not all of the events were easy. We did alpine skiing on scooters, and students had to use only their upper body. And I said, well, Paralympians, the chair skiers, only use their upper body too. So big smiles, they just went right for it. It was wonderful to see. So after 41 years of teaching, I am still amazed by my students and really treated to such special things that go on with teaching. It's just really wonderful. I wanted to give a special shout out to my family. I have a little cheering crowd. My daughter Michaela has been my assistant over the years. She's come to every Take Your Child to Work day, and I thought, well, what kid doesn't want to be in gym all day? And she ran with me in every Happy Feet Mother's Day 5K race, and when I couldn't run anymore, she kept on running for me, and has helped me with bulletin boards at Mary Kay McMillan. And with the COVID shutdown a few years ago, she became my videographer, director, and producer of many short little videos of me in my living room, backyard, front yard, using anything I could find in my house to provide physical education activities that students could do at home in their living rooms. So she was a tough director. A few stuff got thrown to the floor, didn't make it to publication, but it was, it was a lot of fun to do it. In closing, my advice is to follow your dreams. Work hard and be the best person that you can be. By doing what you love, you inspire and awaken the hearts of others. I wanted to just say some thank yous to Annie Corley, my principal, for her guidance and inspiration, for my colleagues at Mary Kay McMillan, who are all Teachers of the Year in my book, to my students. I can now see their big smiles when they come up to the door. They're full of excitement and exuberance, and they say to me, "What are we doing at gym today?" And it sounds like they're yelling at me, but they're just so full of excitement that I'm just happy to see their beautiful faces every day. I want to thank also the Mary Kay McMillan parents and district parents. You've seen me around many years, and I appreciate your support. And last but not least, I want to thank the Board of Education. Back in 1985, you took a chance on this 20-something hopeful physical educator. You hired me, and you gave me an opportunity for a career of a lifetime. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and congratulations, Lauren. Next, I want to talk for a moment. I'm going to invite up Christy Lopresti, and I want to talk for a moment about Susan Pogue. Susan Pogue currently teaches at William Woodruff School. She has been a teacher in Berkeley Heights Public Schools for 19 years. Ms. Pogue's dedication to Berkeley Heights community started when she volunteered as a member of the PTA and published the first newsletter, the Teddy Bear Times. From her early days as a PTA volunteer, she says she never looked back. Transitioning to a substitute, paraprofessional, help teacher, and eventual kindergarten and first grade teacher. She has a Bachelor of Arts degree in elementary education from SUNY Cortland and a master's degree in early childhood education from and curriculum from Kane University. She is currently pursuing a postmaster's degree and is an adjunct professor for Kane University's early childhood department. Ms. Pogue has published 2 children's books and is the author of a chapter in a textbook entitled Empowering Young Children in Technology. She is a member of the leadership cohort and enjoys working on her passion project. Principal Brenda Marley wrote that Ms. Pogue is always striving to improve her instruction, the school environment, and the district. She is an innovative educator who never stops bettering herself. She devotes her time to professional development and action research projects that enhance her teaching and the school. She is a valued member of the William Woodruff and contributes to creating a supportive educational environment. Her passion and dedication impact her students and influence her colleagues. During the nomination process for Educator of the Year, a Woodruff parent stated that Ms. Pogue is someone who brings out the best in my child and has created a real family and sense of community in her classroom. My daughter looks forward to school and doesn't want to miss a day. She comes home excited to show me her reading skills and what she has learned. From parents' perspective, I couldn't ask for more. She is motivating, a great self-esteem builder, and a great educator. I feel that my family and William Woodruff School are lucky to have her. William Woodruff School Teacher of the Year, Susan Pogue. Please come up, please, Susan.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Christy Lopresti, and I have the honor of presenting Ms. Pogue with her award this evening. We're extremely lucky to have you, Ms. Pogue, at Woodruff. Your enthusiasm, passion, and teaching reach not only those in your first grade classroom, but the entire school. Mrs. Pogue is an exceptional educator who impacts all those around her. The PTO is happy to present the Educator of the Year award to Ms. Pogue.
Wait. Hold on. I will take it off. Although it matches. Good? Great. Thank you so much. Oh, yeah. That'd be great. Not this. I'll take this part. And you can hold that part. And that part. It's great. So it's really hard to follow the PE teacher because in the classroom, when you ask them what's their favorite thing at school, it's always PE. So, Lauren, that was beautiful. So good evening, everyone. Congratulations to all my fellow educators who are celebrated here tonight. I first want to thank my husband, Russell, and my daughters, Alexandra and Madeline, who have had to share me with the students of Berkeley Heights as I continued to evolve and grow as an educator. Secondly, I want to thank my parents who couldn't be here tonight, but they have always encouraged me to be a lifelong learner. There are beautiful words from John Cotton Dana, a New Jersey librarian and museum curator, that capture what my parents taught me and what became the backbone of my own educational philosophy. Who dares to teach must never cease to learn. I am thankful for my current principal, Brenda Marley. She respects my talent and is open and supportive of my ideas and my passions. We are both part of the first teacher leadership cohort, an idea brought to the district by Dr. Varley. I appreciate this group of teacher leaders and have learned so much from this multi-year experience. Each of the passion projects generated from this group is inspirational and will make a difference in the lives of Berkeley Heights students. I must acknowledge Mary Kay McMillan. I get a little verklempt. My first principal, who recommended me for my first ever teaching job at the age of 40. She saw things in me that I had not yet seen in myself. Last but certainly not least, I am also thankful for my students. Each year when I design our class t-shirt, I think about the essence of the year and the particular community that has evolved within the four walls of the classroom. This year's shirt slogan came from the message that has adorned our classroom door since the first day of school. Don't stress, just do your best. My current first grade class was in pre-K when the world shut down in March of 2020. They spent their kindergarten year in a myriad of different settings, hybrid, homeschooled, fully remote, private. For some of these young learners, this year is the first time in a brick and mortar classroom, the first time eating in a cafeteria, the first time in school for a full day. Of course, there were gaps, not just academic, but in social and emotional domains as well. While part of my pedagogy was always to provide a joyful learning environment, this year, it was the guiding force in every single instructional decision that I made. Alfie Kohn posits that high-level thinking skills, making connections, and aha moments of insight and creative innovation are more likely to occur in an atmosphere of what he calls exuberant discovery, which is simply a joy of learning. Joy and enthusiasm are absolutely essential for learning to happen, literally, scientifically, as a matter of fact, and research. Distinguished educational researcher and theorist John Goodlad stated, if the experience of doing school destroys children's spirit to learn, their sense of wonder, their curiosity about the world, or their willingness to care for the human condition, we have to ask, have we succeeded as educators, no matter how well our students do on standardized tests? Play is child's work. It is integral to remember that children must be allowed to have a childhood. School is a journey, not a race. School is also a place where every child should feel part of the community. While I always practiced a windows and mirrors curriculum, which means making sure every child sees a reflection of themselves and a window to the bigger world in which we live, I must thank the members of the BOE, Board of Education, who support the DEI initiative. Social justice education must be integrated into academics as we educate the whole child.
As the Lorax spoke for the trees, I would take a minute to speak for the teachers. Harry Wong stated teaching is 1/4 preparation and 3/4 theater. So the Oscar goes to the teachers. The last 2.5 years have been the most difficult and trying times in many of our careers. Not just worrying about our students, but about the health and the health of our families. Shifting from the classroom to teaching on Zoom, a platform that many, including me, had never heard of until March 2020. Managing hybrid instruction, constantly changing protocols, adapting and surviving, and showing our Oscar-worthy performances no matter what. In addition to all the changes that the world presented, many Berkeley Heights teachers also had an added burden of packing up entire classrooms as they shifted school communities during the redistricting. After teaching for 20 years, I had more boxes to move to Woodruff than I did when I moved into my house. I will finish by speaking to my students, and they're up there, a lot of them. Hi, we're in 104. I have a few things that I say all the time in 104 that I hope you carry with you on your journey as a learner and a good citizen and neighbor. Number 1, when something is hard, you have to work harder, yes. Take care of yourself, take care of each other, take care of the things around you. Pledge to try to be kind every day. Compliments make people smile. Aim for a win-win when you have to solve a problem with your friends. Life is a line. You have to learn how to be patient. And number 7, take care of the bees, and there'll be food for all of us. We all have the power to make the world a better place. It is something I try to impart to my students, and I know they can rise to the occasion if given the opportunity. Thank you so much.
Congratulations, Ms. Pogue. Now for Mountain Park School, we're going to recognize Gail Bradford. If Gabby Paganato, I very apologize for that. Gail Bradford is truly one of our own. Miss Bradford grew up in Berkeley Heights and graduated from Governor Livingston High School. She attended college in Massachusetts and holds a Bachelor of Science degree in elementary education from Gordon College. After college, she had a variety of teaching experiences. She was a special education teacher in Massachusetts, Oklahoma, North Carolina, and she even taught community college in Germany. Ms. Bradford obtained a Master's of Education in Special Education from Cameron University and is certified in 4 states. Ms. Bradford returned to Berkeley Heights in September of 2000, bringing a plethora of experience into the classroom that benefits all the students she teaches. Principal John Morisseau shared that she represents a unique combination of quiet confidence developed over many years as an elementary educator and blind enthusiasm for the opportunities she is presented each day as she looks for new ways to move her learners forward. Ms. Bradford connects with her students and educates them in a creating and emerging fashion. Every lesson she plans includes clear learning targets, multiple methods, and relevant practice. Her Educator of the Year award in her first year at a new school is a testament to her positive attitude, work ethic, and willingness to be a team player. Her colleagues describe her as being a master at providing individual follow-up support, which allows her students to succeed. She is always looking for new and exciting ways for all the students to think beyond the classroom. There is a positive feeling in the classroom, and the students exude interest and a desire to learn. Ms. Bradford has a unique and wonderful rapport with the faculty and students of the Berkeley Heights School District. She is the epitome of a master teacher. Congratulations, Gail Bradford. If you will come up, please.
Mrs. Bradford, on behalf of the Mountain Park community and PTO, we would like to present you this award. Everybody appreciates everything you do. You give back to the school. The children love you. The families appreciate everything, and you're cherished. Thank you.
Much.
Good evening. I am truly humbled to be here, and thank you so much for this honor among so many wonderful teachers in our community. I've been teaching in special education 35 years. It's a long time. So I was thinking, what do I want to say? Well, I want to talk about gratitude, and I want to talk about students with specific needs. First, I am very grateful for the unique opportunity that my life's timeline has provided me to advocate for special populations. I attended a college in Massachusetts in the early 70s that excelled in training teachers during a time in the history of education that the field of learning disabilities was just taking root. The 1972 Massachusetts Law, Chapter 766, and later, the 1975 Congressional Law, Public Law 94-142, were established. These laws advocated for students who learn differently. My first teaching job in 1975, after graduation, was as a learning disabilities teacher in a junior high. And suddenly I was writing my first IEPs. It was an exciting field of education, and I went on to earn my master's degree in learning disabilities. It's still one of the evolving fields in education. Second, I'm grateful for the opportunity that I had as a military spouse with David to work with families who were serving our country and military children who faced daily uncertainty. As a special education teacher, I was recruited for unique teaching jobs at military installations. I taught enlisted soldiers in Germany who needed to improve their reading and math skills in order to pass skills and exams for advancement. As a special education teacher at Fort Sill, I taught students who were hospitalized for drug and alcohol abuse and who were hospitalized for extreme mental health reasons. My next elementary school there, sadly, lost a young student in the Oklahoma City tragedy in 1995. As a special education teacher at Fort Bragg, I taught the students of military members who fought in the Gulf War. One young elementary student with congenital physical disabilities was on the cover of Life magazine as a tiny victim due to his father's exposure to environmental hazards during Desert Storm. These were extraordinary teaching opportunities that I was privileged to be a part of. Finally, I'm grateful that I was able to return to my hometown and secure a job in special education for the past 22 years. The installation of the co-teaching model for students with differing abilities is an important step in including all our students. People often ask, is it difficult to live and work in the same town? Not for me. I am grateful for the Berkeley Heights community in my past, my present, and my future. I'm deeply invested in the school district, and I am so proud to have the third generation of my parents and my brother Gary's family here in our schools today. I'm grateful to the parents of this community who entrusted me with their most precious children, parents who are building a foundation of lifelong learning for their children. To the parents, I thank you. I am grateful to my students. They show me every day how creative, how inquisitive, how determined they are to learn. They struggle, they triumph, and achieve more than they themselves ever expect. And then I expect them to go even further. The possibilities are endless. I look forward to seeing the exciting futures that they create. To my students, I thank you. I am grateful to my friends, my colleagues, and fellow teachers who allow me to come in and share a classroom, making endless modifications and suggesting strategies. I thank you for all that you have taught me. To my friends and my teachers, I thank you. I am grateful to my family, my support. My family supported me through graduate classes, workshops, training seminars, moving boxes of teaching materials from house to house, state to state, overseas, and back again, for helping me pack and unpack classrooms 35 times. For our children, Meredith, Jeremy, Ben, and Amelia, and my grandchildren, Isaac, Levi, James, Violet, Ramon, and Evelyn, I thank you, and I love you all. Recognizing a school district's educators and staff is the best investment a Board of Education can make. Teachers are the most valuable asset in our schools. Teachers bring us through the very difficult past few unprecedented years in education. Teachers build our schools, and our schools build our community. There are changes coming to our town. I encourage the community to support the foundation of strong educators and staff. Teachers are the first line in our future to provide excellence in education for our children. There are so many reasons to be grateful and so many more to whom I owe my thanks and gratitude. I leave Berkeley Heights School District with the hope and confidence that working together, we can continue to achieve. Thank you.
Congratulations, Ms. Bradford. Next, I would like to call up Lisa Gowan from Thomas P. Hughes, and we're going to talk about Dr. Heather McGarry. Dr. McGarry has 19 years of service and dedication to the students of Berkeley Heights Public Schools. She uses her experience in mental health, learning, and behavior to help students succeed academically, socially, behaviorally, and emotionally. Dr. McGarry is a lifelong learner. She obtained bachelor's degrees in psychology and special education and has a standard certification as a school psychologist and a learning disabilities teacher consultant. Prior to her time at Berkeley Heights, she worked at the Developmental Learning Center in New Providence, the ARC of Somerset County, and Clinton Township Schools in Annandale. While working with students with moderate to severe learning disabilities and developmental disabilities, she was inspired to pursue master's degrees in counseling and psychology and a doctorate in psychology from Rutgers University. Dr. McGarry completed her doctorate internship here in Berkeley Heights, where she remained an integral member of our school community. Principal Nardi shared that Dr. McGarry is a well-respected psychologist and a highly regarded colleague. She is a strong advocate for children and has worked tirelessly on behalf of her students. She can always be counted on to provide support to teachers when they seek assistance with students in their care. Her innate understanding of students' needs is second to none, and her willingness to jump into any situation to provide assistance is always appreciated. She is a go-to person for many children and adults in the building. Her dedication and professionalism have helped Thomas P. Hughes get through quite a challenging last few years, and she is so appreciated as an invaluable member of the Hughes family. Congratulations, Dr. Heather McGarry, Teacher, the Educator of the Year for Thomas P. Hughes.
So I'm going to echo a lot of what Dr. Varley just said. Dr. McGarry is such an integral part of the Hughes community. She is dedicated to supporting our students through these challenging times. Her open arms and kindness truly shape our school's culture. The Hughes PTO is happy to present the Educator of the Year Award to Dr. McGarry.
I'd just like to start, too, by wishing my dear friend Gail Bradford a wonderful retirement. We are all so happy for you, Gail, and wish you the very, very best. Good evening, Board of Education members, Dr. Varley, Mr. McKinney, Mrs. Kopass, our dear principals, fellow colleagues, our students, parents, and my friends and family. I'm honored to be recognized as Hughes Educator of the Year. Although I must say that I share this distinction with my dedicated Hughes colleagues who have committed genuine effort and regard and much creativity in helping our students during a very challenging and unique 2.5 years that were heavily impacted by the pandemic. I truly appreciate the recognition that that the Educator of the Year award confers. I will continue to strive each day to fulfill the very important responsibility the Berkeley Heights School District has entrusted in me, along with other staff and community members, to partner with families in helping our students develop into responsible, productive, happy, fulfilled, and considerate citizens. I would like to formally recognize the general and the special education teachers and the instructional assistants with whom I have the honor of working closely with each day. Your steadfast commitment to working with the students truly makes a difference. Additionally, I would like to sincerely thank Mrs. Nardi and Mrs. Gardner for their support and guidance over the years. It is a privilege and a pleasure to work with you both. Upon meeting someone new and asked the characteristic, "What do you do for a living?" question, I sometimes inwardly cringe, wondering what the reaction will be upon saying psychologist. Generally, it is met with more queries, with of course my least favorite being, did you go into the field to better understand yourself? I have been known to sometimes say, I'm not a psychologist, give a different career, on an airplane or something. Kidding aside, my reason for becoming a school psychologist was driven by purpose. Moreover, purpose in being able to help young students achieve better life outcomes by helping the students to develop the foundational skills to promote their emotional well-being and their social skills and their achievement of their personal and career goals. Working with these students at the elementary school age is extremely exciting because each year I get to observe the students as they just start to begin to consider who they are as individuals, the character traits that they value and want to project to the other students, their development of more complex friendships, and the corresponding confidence they derive from achieving their goals. And it's also great to watch them become more independent and capable students. Most fulfilling, however, is having the opportunity to help the students and guide them in their development of problem-solving skills and coping skills to work through a personal challenge, one very common being perhaps confronting anxiety, and then subsequently witnessing their personal satisfaction and the confidence in managing or resolving that challenge. It is also incredibly fulfilling to see the students' development of social skills at this age, knowing that the social skills learned at this age will help protect the child's well-being and the critical sense of social connectedness. Time spent helping students learn to apply emotional regulation skills and social problem-solving skills is further rewarding when I can observe how the students apply these skills at school to effectively and respectfully manage conflicts and maintain their friendships. I am grateful to experience the purpose I sought in coming to work each day, knowing that we can help our students utilize teachable moments to develop critical life skills, which will enable them to have better outcomes in the classroom and also later in the community and the work settings. As I reflect back on my 19 years in the Berkeley Heights School District, I am truly touched by the impact so many of my students have had on me, their families, as well as the administrators and staff. The impact they've had on my life and my personal development is truly astounding. I continue to be inspired each day by the commitment, regard, and support that our families, our educators, and our community members extend to our students. I thank you again for this very much appreciated honor.
Congratulations, Dr. McGarry. And now I would like to invite up Debbie Torrero from Columbia Middle School PTO. I'm going to spend a few moments to talk about Belinda Healy, who is our Columbia Middle School Teacher of the Year. Belinda Healy has been employed in the Berkeley Heights Public Schools since September 2004. Ms. Healy completed her student teaching internship at Governor Livingston High School and Columbia Middle School. She has remained a valuable member of the Berkeley Heights teaching community ever since. She earned her Bachelor's of Arts degree from Drew University, majoring in English and minoring in art. She received her teaching certificate from the College of St. Elizabeth. She teaches English, writing, and the fan fiction elective. Principal Steve Hopkins stated that she creates an environment where students feel free to share their opinions and take creative challenges. She encourages risk-taking and rewards students for hard work and diligence. She provides detailed instruction, interesting activities, and fair and consistent assessment. Taken together, this creates a classroom that is both engaging and challenging. During this nomination process, Ms. Healy was commended for pioneering a wildly successful CMS outreach elective class. This elective course incorporates 21st century skills and positive community impact. Under Ms. Healy's leadership and guidance, students investigate their community to identify areas of needs and meaningful ways to provide service to meet those needs. They build their projects from the ground up by proposing ideas, organizing teams, facilitating communications, and creating a plan for implementation and seeing their project through to the end goal. Ms. Healy's students have completed a multitude of projects to help animals in shelters, bring joy to children in long-term care facilities, and to help feed the hungry and show gratitude to frontline workers, to care for our environment, to inspire positive messages of acceptance in our schools, and much, much more. Principal Hopkins added that she is a tremendous asset to her students and the entire CMS community. We are proud to have her at CMS and as our Teacher of the Year. Congratulations, Belinda Healy. If you will come up, please.
Mrs. Healy is a caring and supportive teacher at Columbia Middle School. As one of her students shared, Mrs. Healy cares about the student input, attends to different students' needs, and tries to make English fun. Outreach gives us the chance to make a lasting impression, and she encourages us to involve other students to help expand our impact. On behalf of the Columbia Middle School, students, staff, and parents alike, we congratulate you on Educator of the Year at Columbia Middle School, and thank you for your dedication to our children.
Thank you, Dr. Varley, Mr. McKinney, Mrs. Kopaz, members of the Board of Education, and the Berkeley Heights PTO for this recognition. I am so honored and humbled to be the recipient of the Teacher of the Year Award at Columbia Middle School. There are many people, family, friends, and colleagues whom I consider my partners in this award, but there is too much on tonight's meeting agenda for me to name them all. First is my family, who are my inspiration and my support. Enormous thanks to my mom for her nurturing and patience, my dad for his passion and hard work, and my sister Janice for always having my back. To my big kids, Thomas and Bronte, and my little guy, Jackson, who are my heart and joy. Mr. Healy, of course, deserves a special note of thanks. I'm sure that the students and staff of Columbia cannot count how many times they've heard him say that behind every Teacher of the Year is a strong husband. It's true. The truth is, I am one lucky lady to have my rock quite literally by my side at all times, at home, at work, and even on my commute. He is infinitely encouraging and always listening, cheering me on, giving me the best hugs, and knowing when to say, "Why don't you just go to Home Goods for a little bit?" The rest of it I owe in great part to my colleagues, teachers and staff alike, who really are the masters of the middle school universe. I must specifically acknowledge two of my greatest mentors from Columbia, Miss Einhorn and Mrs. Yu, who taught me so much about the craft and magic of teaching. I give special thanks to my entire Team 7 for the dedication they have to our students, and to Mrs. McGann and Ms. Froelich, who are the glue of Team Blue. To our consultative team, Ms. Wells, Ms. Krasovec, and Mrs. Jensen, you are all dynamite partners in the classroom. And of course, Mrs. Mahey, my legendary teacher bestie, and the greatest school mom to all students. There are also many administrators to the middle school who I must thank for their support and influence, including Dr. Jack Dennis and Mr. Morriso, Mr. Geiger, Mr. Hopkins, and Mrs. Acosta, and Miss Lori Scott for her tireless work behind the scenes. Lastly, I want to thank my students, the 100 or so I have this year and the several hundred I've had in the past. They have taught me more than anything else. Their curiosity, their arguments, their invincible passion, their silliness, and their creativity, it's all so inspiring and refreshing. Year after year, my job title is the same. I'm an English teacher. But the students are the ones who make every year different, memorable, and special. They are the ones who challenge me to try new things or let me know when something really works. There is nothing better than students saying at the end of class, "Miss Healy, can we do that again?" Like when a group of students come alive during a Socratic scrimmage and ask how soon we can have the next one. Or the students in outreach, in the midst of their service projects, already asking if they can take the elective again next year. Or the students who have fun at the Parts of Speech Carnival and strive to be the grammar master, raring to get into some serious grammar competitions, yet again. Even so, middle school can be tough, and education after these past years certainly brings new challenges. But our students keep our work vital, rigorous, meaningful, and fun. After nearly 20 years of teaching at CMS, if someone asked me what I would do if I could start my career over, I would most certainly also say, "Can I do that again?" Thank you again for this great honor.
Congratulations, Mrs. Healy. And now I'd like to call up Eva Dooley from the Governor Livingston PTO. I want to take a moment to talk about Christine Tallarico from Governor Livingston High School. She is the Educator of the Year. Christine Tallarico has been employed in the Berkeley Heights Public Schools since September of 2009. She completed her student teaching internship at Governor Livingston High School and Columbia Middle School. She earned a Bachelor of Arts degree in both English and French at Drew University and her teaching certification from the College of St. Elizabeth. Additionally, Ms. Tallarico holds a master's degree in English from Rutgers University. Prior to joining Berkeley Heights, she taught French and English at Park Ridge School. Mrs. Tallarico teaches sophomores and junior English classes, theater electives, and does an exceptional job with the fall drama and spring musical productions at Governor Livingston High School. Principal Nixon said, "Mrs. Tallarico is a talented educator who demonstrates her passion for her students and the teaching craft on a daily basis. She brings content to life for her students through colorful delivery and creative approaches. Ms. Tallarico masterfully introduces challenging topics that makes all students comfortable. Her influence extends beyond the classroom. As the advisor of the Understanding Asians Cultures Club, her thoughtful work has helped support the inclusive culture at GL." In addition to Ms. Tallarico's excellence in teaching, GL parents added that she provides a welcoming, encouraging learning environment that has been especially crucial to her students during these times when students are facing stressors in so many areas. She cares deeply about her students' education as well as their well-being. Ms. Tallarico's students said that she cares about us and teaches with passion. She is friendly, outgoing, and understandable. One student commented that she was the reason I chose to attend school in person rather than attend remotely when given the choice. Students described how she organized meetings to help them make suggestions about social and emotional learning to school counselors. Her student statements encapsulate the impact and benefit that Ms. Tallarico has. She teaches her classes with joy and enthusiasm, which transfers to her students as they are excited to learn. She is an inspiring educator who is deeply deserving of this recognition. Congratulations, Christine Tallarico, Teacher of the Year, Governor Livingston High School.
On behalf of the PTO, parents, and students at Governor Livingston, it's my pleasure to be involved in the selection process for Educator of the Year. When we learned that Mrs. Tallarico had earned the award, I texted my daughter, Leah, in college to tell her. She had Mrs. Tallarico as an educator for 2 years during her time at Governor Livingston. In my daughter's words over text, remember this is a 19-year-old, OMG, she so deserves it. She is amazing, my favorite teacher. She wrote one of my recommendations. She's so kind and wants all students to do their best. And she's funny, too. She makes the classroom more than a classroom. And I am being taught things in classes at college that she taught me 2 years ago. So easy. I am sure the same sentiment is shared among all your students, and we as parents appreciate all you do for our students. So it's our pleasure to help present this award. Congratulations.
Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to speak here tonight. I am deeply appreciative of this honor. It is so meaningful to be recognized, particularly in a time that has forced so many of us to reckon with our professional goals and ideologies in a rapidly changing educational landscape. Amidst many recent changes, I cling to what has remained steadfast, the fact that experience is one of the best tools an educator can have. In my 13th year in this district, having the opportunity to teach courses consistently and receiving support from colleagues and administrators, I have the space to keep evolving as an educator. Tonight, I would like to share some of what I have learned and offer my gratitude to those who continue to teach and inspire me. I have learned that, in spite of the changes and challenges spurred on by the pandemic, teaching is still a wonderful profession. I get to spend all day engaged in content that I love with students who make me laugh and keep me on my toes. I have learned that effective teaching comes from listening to our students and to our own instincts. My students regularly show me how I can better instruct them by simply asking questions and requesting resources. These small adjustments to any given lesson stay with me and remind me to evaluate and reevaluate how my instruction translates. To my students, I say, your questions and feedback always matter. Your openness makes our class a better place. I have learned that effective teaching happens when we are given support and freedom to shape lessons to be accessible to students. So thank you to my building administrators, Rob Nixon, Tara Oliveira, Jackie Bartlett, and my supervisor, who has always been my #1 cheerleader, Lori Scott. Based on my education, expertise, and experience, you give me the autonomy to respond to my students' needs and to pursue topics that are engaging and relevant to them. My classroom is lively and authentic because you trust me to make it so. Above all, I have learned that it is the greatest motivator and the best professional development to be surrounded by dedicated people who do their jobs exceptionally well. Here at Governor Livingston, my colleagues are exemplary educators who deserve tremendous recognition today and every day. Allow me to give you just a glimpse of the inspiration I see when I look around me on any given day at GL. The math teacher who pilots a new instructional technique to better engage students, then devotes time and energy teaching it to her colleagues. The art teacher who opens her room during her preps and her lunches so students can enjoy and work in that creative space. The paraprofessional who eagerly responds to students' desires for new clubs by advocating for and advising them. The science teacher whose vast environmental initiatives reinforce for students the importance of their work in the classroom. The history teacher who empowers classes to discuss real-world issues, making sure students are comfortable enough to support their own reasoned arguments aloud and perhaps even to change their minds in response to new information. The English teacher, one of my colleagues, who spends hours writing recommendation letters and lunch periods conferencing about college essays, who bolsters students as they pursue their next steps. The physical education teacher who puts his heart into coaching, spending evenings and weekends with his athletes, building their character and their skill. The special education teacher who is always adapting her lessons and adjusting her day to support the district in mounting a new special education model. The counselor who gives students a space to be vulnerable, making them feel seen and heard, and who goes out of her way to remind colleagues of the positive impact they have on a daily basis. And of course, all of the teachers who challenge their students to do more and better than they thought possible in an academic setting that is at once rigorous and supportive. You remind me that this balancing act is something we have to think about and recalibrate regularly. I could not challenge my students without colleagues maintaining academic integrity and rigor at every respective level. GL is a remarkable place. Here I know I am surrounded by people who care about one another, who care about our students, and who care about the teaching profession. I thank Dr. Varley and the board for this wonderful honor, and I thank the people that I share every day with, my colleagues and my students, for making me the best teacher I can be. Thank you.
Congratulations, Ms. Tallarico. For those Teachers of the Year, we do have the boxes that your plaques came in, if you guys want them. If you don't want them, it's fine. I can put them over here. Just do that. So that's not awkward at all, right, to walk up here and get a box? I'm just checking on that. So now we're going to switch gears a little bit and talk about our teachers, educators, custodians, etc., secretaries who are retiring. We have 20 total individuals who are retiring this year. We did recognize Patricia Gasparini, Frank Geiger, and Tom Long, so they will not be recognized tonight because they have been recognized before. So I'm going to start out with Anthony Abate. Anthony Abate started working for the Berkeley Heights Public Schools in 1976 and is a retiring head custodian from Mary K. McMillan after 46.5 years of service. Anthony worked as head custodian at Woodruff, then switched to Columbia Middle School before becoming head custodian at Westlake, Hamilton Terrace, and Mary K. McMillan Early Childhood Center. Technically, you can say that Mr. Abate was head custodian at 4 different schools, but only had to leave one building. All principals will agree on how important their custodian is to providing the best educational experience for their students. Functioning as important support staff, schools custodians are partners in creating the best spaces for learning and, of course, keeping their spaces clean on a daily basis. Even with the extra workload, cleaning and sanitizing of Mary K. McMillan during COVID, Mr. Abate still looked for things that just needed to be done. Before you ask him to do something, Tony has already addressed it. Ingenious thinking, improvised methods and contraptions, quick fixes, and finding the innovative solutions to immediate problems. Tony is Mary K. McMillan's very own MacGyver. Anthony Abate. Mr. Tony, come on up. We've got something for you. Sorry, I guess I should have stated that, huh? Come on up. If you want a box, we've got those too. And a bag.
Good evening. I'd like to recognize Anthony Amiano. Anthony Amiano is retiring from his position as Supervisor of Building and Grounds after 41 3/4 years of service and dedication to Berkeley Heights Public Schools. Mr. Amiano's connection with Berkeley Heights first started as a student before he began his career as a summer help custodian. He continued to work his way through the ranks. Mr. Amiano worked at Columbia Middle School, Thomas P. Hughes, and for the maintenance department prior to his current role as Supervisor of Building and Grounds. He is a trusted leader and mentor and has an excellent rapport with his staff. Mr. Amiano has an uncanny ability to handle situations calmly and with a good sense of humor. In 2020, Mr. Amiano was awarded the New Jersey School Buildings and Grounds Association Manager of the Year Award, and in 2021 was titled National School Plant Manager of the Year. Anthony is always willing to help others, cares deeply about the district's buildings and grounds. He can always be counted on for a good laugh, and his friendly face will be missed throughout the district. Congratulations, Mr. Amiano.
Lisa Basillo. Lisa Basillo retired from her position as paraprofessional at Governor Livingston High School after 17 years of service. In addition to working at GL, Ms. Basillo also worked at Mountain Park, Hamilton Terrace, and Columbia Middle School. She always did a wonderful job working to support students in a one-on-one setting. Her patience and care were a vital part of ensuring the success of the students she worked with. If you can come on up, Ms. Basillo. Okay, I don't think she's here. Okay, Tracy Bostwick. Tracy retired from her position as Secretary for the Special Services Department after 15.5 years of service. Ms. Bostwick's time as an administrative assistant was served with great dedication and compassion. She cared deeply about the students, families, and staff members associated with the department and made it her hallmark to understand all the laws surrounding special education compliance. Ms. Bostwick cared for her colleagues and was the first person to offer congratulations, condolences, and some lemon poppy seed cake for celebrations. The administration and child study team members that she supported have to adjust to their new normal since her retirement. The Special Services Department was blessed to have Mrs. Bostwick for so many years. Tracy Bostwick, come on up.
I'm happy to honor Mrs. Gail Bradford again. In addition to being nominated Educator of the Year, Gail Bradford is also retiring from her role as Teacher of Special Education at Mountain Park School after 21 3/4 years of service. Mrs. Bradford spent 20 of these years at Thomas Hughes before moving to Mountain Park this year. Mrs. Bradford has been at the forefront of inclusive practices, ensuring students with disabilities have access to their least restrictive environment in general education classrooms. Her effort, creativity, patience, and generosity have impacted not only hundreds of students with learning differences, but all students had the privilege of having Mrs. Bradford as their co-teacher. She could always be counted on to be outspoken and principled, and was always a mentor to colleagues new to teaching or transitioning from a different grade or specialty. Mrs. Bradford's efforts and accomplishments will live on not only in the impact she has had on students, but in the positive role she has played in the lives of her colleagues. Congratulations, Gail. I'd like to speak about Ronald Delia. Ronald Delia retired from his position as a custodian for Berkeley Heights Public Schools after 35¼ years of service. Mr. Delia has come full circle by starting and ending his career at Hughes School. He also worked at Columbia Middle School, Woodruff, and Mountain Park. Mr. Delia was a part of the fabric of Hughes School, and the Hughes community has appreciated his strong work ethic and quick wit demonstrated over the years. In addition to being thorough and thoughtful in his job responsibilities, he also made his mark by frequently sharing his vast knowledge of nature, science, and the occasional quirky trivialities of life. The Hughes community thanks Mr. Delia for his service, and he is wished a happy and healthy retirement. Mr. Delia?
Kelly Hill. Kelly Hill is retiring from her position as teacher of health and physical education teacher at Columbia Middle School after 21½ years of service. Ms. Hill is a respected member of CMS and is known as a nurturing and caring educator with a vision for always putting the students' needs first and foremost. She can always be counted on to deliver a learning-rich lesson to all types of learners. She has been a mainstay at Columbia and will be missed for her steady personality and willingness to always work hard. Ms. Hill's tutelage of all CMS Health and Physical Education Department members and positive vision for her students will always be remembered, and she will be missed by the entire CMS community. Ms. Kelly Hill.
Kathleen McCullough. Kathleen McCullough retired as teacher of visual arts from Governor Livingston High School after 15¼ years of service to the Berkeley Heights Public Schools. Ms. McCullough's contributions to GL were felt both inside and outside of the classroom. A pillar of the arts program, she ensured that students took an active role in community arts events, including teen arts and programs, such as those offered at the Morris Museum. Ms. McCullough also served on the Internal Site Council Committee, a group that provides suggestions and improvements to GL programs and culture, and was also an advisor for the National Honor Society. We wish her the best.
David Peck. David Peck is retiring from his role as teacher of French from Governor Livingston High School after 21.25 years of service to Berkeley Heights Public Schools. Mr. Peck is GL's favorite harmonica-playing, Buffalo Bills-loving, flavored coffee-drinking French teacher. Mr. Peck was a great part of the culture at Governor Livingston High School, always welcoming college colleagues and students with a warm bonjour. He promotes a fantastic love of French culture that is evident in his instruction. In addition to teaching, Mr. Peck was an advisor for the French Club and the French Honor Society and orchestrated the Hurricane Relief Concert to raise money for Habitat for Humanities. Congratulations, Mr. David Peck.
Michael Percario. Michael Percario was retiring as a custodian at Mountain Park School after 27¾ years of service. Mike started at Hughes School and then worked in the maintenance department before becoming a day custodian at Mountain Park. Mr. Percario is the ultimate perfectionist. His thoughtful and detailed approach to all tasks has served the community of Berkeley Heights Public Schools well. Mike's meticulous approach has served him well, and prior to synthetic turf, he was responsible for marking and maintenance of the grass athletic fields at Governor Livingston. Most recently, he made his mark on the Mountain Park School community by often using his own tools to repair and restore furniture and modify the faculty room to accommodate new appliances. And Mr. Picario is very excited that he will not have to be commuting every day. Congratulations.
Richard Rick Quant is retiring from his position as head custodian at Mountain Park School after 31.75 years of service for Berkeley Heights Public Schools. Mr. Quant worked as a night custodian at Hughes School and for the maintenance department before accepting his head custodian position at Mountain Park. Mr. Quant is the model of reliability, accountability, and kinetic energy. When approached with a request from a superior, a colleague, a parent, or a student, he will never respond with, "Send me an email, I'll try to get to it when I have time," or "That is not my job." The response is usually brief and immediate, and the task is taken care of. Mr. Quant is extremely committed to his job, always early for work, is efficient with his time, and keeps the school very well maintained. Congratulations, Mr. Quant.
Wendy Richards. Wendy Richards retired as the teacher of English from Governor Livingston after 9¼ years of service. Wendy has been a dynamic teacher who formed a special bond with students and staff alike. Students were always welcomed into her class in different ways, such as her college acceptance wall, peanuts decorations, and her inviting, cheerful personality. She's mentored several new staff members throughout her tenure at Governor Livingston and was a regular part of student events. We wish her well.
Marilyn Scarpati. So Marilyn Scarpati retired from her position as accounting and benefits specialist in Berkeley Heights business office after 17 years of service. Prior to employment in the business office, Ms. Scarpati worked as a substitute teacher for 3 years, and she was known throughout the district as the benefits guru and was the person to contact whenever you had a benefits question or needed assistance navigating any benefits issues. Ms. Scarpati has shared an abundance of information with staff members in support of healthier lifestyle skills. Ms. Scarpati was also responsible for billing and accounts receiving for the district. Her knowledge, sense of humor, and willingness to help are greatly missed. Ms. Scarpati.
Richard Shea. Mr. Shea is retiring from his position as the teacher of mathematics at Governor Livingston High School after 16¾ years of service. Mr. Shea started as an 8th grade math teacher at Columbia Middle School, where he worked for 6 years. During his time at CMS, he served as the math club advisor. And in 2011, Mr. Shea transferred to Governor Livingston High School and has been a dedicated math teacher demonstrating flexibility and a willingness to go the extra mile to help students. He is at Governor Livingston every morning to welcome students in the morning for extra help, and he frequently supports students by writing letters of recommendation, which speaks to the level of respect that students have for him. Congratulations, Mr. Shea.
Mr. Bruno Soma is retiring as teacher of health and physical education from Governor Livingston High School after 20½ years service to Berkeley Heights Public Schools. It isn't uncommon for Mr. Soma to be the first to arrive at GL every day. He was famous for making the best sausage and peppers for the faculty picnic and will always be remembered for his willingness to help in any way that was needed. In addition to his years of dedication as a teacher, Mr. Soma has an extensive coaching resume and has had great success as the head coach of the boys soccer program at GL. He also served as the assistant coach for girls track and indoor track, boys track, and was a coach for the Columbia Middle School interscholastic wrestling. Mr. Bruno Soma, congratulations.
Sally Stevenson. Sally Stevenson is retiring from Berkeley Heights Public Schools as a special education teacher at Mary K. McMillan after 27 3/4 years of service. During her service, Mrs. Stevenson also worked at Columbia Middle School, Woodruff, Mountain Park, and Hamilton Terrace. Mrs. Stevenson has spent her career dedicated to the service of children with special needs, setting high expectations for students to work hard and do their best, crafting lessons that build upon the strengths of each child and fostering trusting relationships to create a healthy classroom environment for learning. An exceptional teacher and mentor to novice teachers throughout her career, Sally is the Mary Poppins of special education. Her magic carpet bag is filled with a repertoire of strategies that make learning accessible to her students. In addition to working as a learning disability teacher consultant, she also served as a social decision-making advisor and a drama club advisor. Sally has made an immeasurable difference in the lives of countless children during her career, and she will be missed. Congratulations, Sally.
That was this past week, and it was the showcase.
Do you want to come up and do a quick tap dance? All right, come on up.
But I'm going to just say that at every end of the tap festival, we do something called shave and haircut 2 bits. It goes shave and haircut.
That's awesome. Does anyone else want to come up and tap dance? Karen Talbot is retiring from her position as secretary in the Governor Livingston Guidance Office after 15.5 years of service. Ms. Talbot also worked as a substitute and paraprofessional prior to accepting her secretarial role. Ms. Talbot has been an integral part of the counseling department as she is the first welcoming face to new students and families at the high school and to all students in the counseling office. Ms. Talbot's compassion, professional presence, and work ethic have been instrumental in maintaining the effectiveness and efficiency of students' counseling-related needs. Her extra level of care in everything she does has been demonstrated by the smell of homemade chocolate cookies, snowflakes in the conference room, and making sure that everyone is celebrated on their birthday. Ms. Talbot leaves GL with enormous shoes to fill. Congratulations, Ms. Karen Talbot.
Diane Tompkins. Mrs. Tompkins, AKA T, DT, Mrs. T, or Pam, is retiring from her position as a secretary for Berkeley Heights Public Schools after 26.25 years of service. Mrs. Tompkins began her career as a secretary in the superintendent's office before transitioning to Mountain Park School in January 1997. When you are Diane Tompkins, on time is late, early is on point, and those are your only options. Whether she arrived from Morristown or Pennington, she obsessed with the goal of getting all her tasks off her dish, which she stated as if she never left Jersey City. Mrs. T never shied away from a challenge. Instead, she tackled each as if solving a difficult puzzle. DT was never too busy to provide students, staff, and parents the love and support needed while wearing many hats. Mrs. T likes to claim that she is old school, but she always is in tune with trends, strategies, and beliefs of the people she interacted with on a daily basis. Mrs. T is all things to all people, although she would never admit it, and she will be sorely missed. Mrs. Tompkins, congratulations.
Lynn Vassell. Lynn Vassell retired from her role as the secretary at William Woodruff School after 25 dedicated years of service. Ms. Vasil was the face of Woodruff School and had an innate ability to anticipate the needs of others and serve the children and families of Woodruff School with kindness and generosity. Her friendly and inviting personality always set a warm and caring tone for all who entered the school office. Ms. Vasil had a great sense of humor and would always multitask with a smile. Her colleagues found Ms. Vasil to be a supportive teammate, wise and trusted counselor, and a faithful friend who is missed dearly. Congratulations, Ms. Lynn Vasil, on your retirement.
Carolyn Vella. Carolyn Vella retired from her role as paraprofessional at Governor Livingston High School after 15 and a half years of service. Mrs. Vella started at Hamilton Terrace School and also worked at Mary K. McMillan, Mountain Park, and Columbia Middle School. Mrs. Vella worked with students in the ABA program and did an excellent job collaborating with her colleagues to provide support and ensure each individual student's success. When school was not in session, Mrs. Vella also worked the extended school year program during the summers. Our paraprofessionals are such vital members of our school communities, and Mrs. Vella was one of the best. She will be missed, and we wish her well.
So to wrap up the superintendent's report, I want to congratulate all of our Teachers of the Year and our retirees. This is always a wonderful celebration, and I will turn it over to Mr. DeQuilla. Rob, can you make sure that bathroom that way is open for the women and men's bathroom back there?
Thank you. So that concludes the superintendent report. We will take a 5-minute break to allow all our educators of the year and our retirees an opportunity to say thank you and everybody, and we'll be back in about 5 minutes. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I appreciate it.
wish we had more time. We were just getting warmed up. Yeah.
I don't know how you got a whole table and mic to yourself.
I mean, I didn't set it up, but I'm not complaining. You know.
I know.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
can we? I mean, can we stay here for every meeting? Because like these work.
Except the lights are.
The lights are weird.
The lights are-
My eyes a little bit.
Yeah.
But
But
just,
this
I
is
keep
like,
looking down.
yeah, it's all good. I mean, this is good, and I also like being here, all the way over here, where others are down there.
Well, intended mate.
She didn't take her name plate, but like in school, you got in trouble for doing that. I don't know. Like this is where you sit. You just sit down. Yeah. Yeah. Snickerdoodles? We made snickerdoodles in middle school when I was in middle school. In home ec class. I don't, cinnamon and sugar. They're the easiest thing to make, which is why I think we made them. Pretty. That's what they teach you. Basic. I'm not good at that.
Okay, sorry. We'll resume the meeting. My apologies, still getting used to this microphone. Okay, committee and liaison reports. I do have two, actually. First, again, just to reiterate what Dr. Varley said during her remarks, a big thank you to Amy Wardle and the culinary class for the great snacks. Chocolate chips and the brownies were very good, and hopefully maybe someone will be nice enough to bring a few in. Hint, hint, wink, wink. And also, I'd like to thank Michael Maresca and the woodshop team for building a new gavel, and I don't know what the name of it is. Unfortunately, it's not here. It's with Mr. Nixon who was not able to join us tonight, but they designed and constructed right here in the wood shop a new gavel and a new, anyone know what this is? Strike plate? Whatever. So it has the district logo on it and words of inspiration. So we'll be able to show it off at the June board meeting. So any members of the board have liaison or committee reports? Go ahead, Si. You got to bring it closer to you. Yeah,
Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yep.
So as a takeaway from our last board meeting, I did reach out to the township administrator and the township clerk about us, if in case by the June meeting, we don't get our equipment, the technical equipment for conducting hybrid meetings. So I think June they have a conflict, and they said that we can do it for the July. I think for the June they have a possibility. They don't have a conflict as of now, but they do give precedence to their rec commission or internal township entities. But if we want to advertise soon, because we have to do an advertisement if we are changing the location,
Yes,
they don't have a conflict. So if you want to do it, we could.
All right, I'll take it up with Liza, and I can talk to her.
Yeah, I can forward you the email that I got. First, I don't know why it ended up in my junk email. I didn't see it for some time, but I'll forward it to you.
All right, thank you. Anybody else?
Yeah, Mike, the athletics committee met May 10th. Just one, Dr. Riley mentioned it, but I was just going to expand because I think it's impressive, the student athlete participation percentage. So 73.2%, 697 GL students. What jumped out to me, we covered this in committee, but this is the 21-22 school year, 377 one-sport student athletes, 203 two-sport student athletes, and 117 three-sport student athletes. And all through the pandemic, the participation rate has been at or above 70%. So I know we're approving a lot of coaches for fall and I think even winter sports tonight. So I think a lot of credit goes to them and obviously Ann and team. So great numbers.
All right. Thank you, Jordan. Pam, did I hear you?
Hello. So I did town council, but I figured tonight I would just keep the time short. So the only thing I'm going to say that's time sensitive is that the Memorial Day Parade is back on Monday at 9 a.m. It's a great time for everyone. So many kids participate. So that's the only one that's time sensitive. The rest I will give at next meeting.
All right, thank you very much. Nobody else? We'll move on to Julie, report of the business administrator, please. There it is. There, it's on.
Is it? Hello. It worked before. Thank you. As I mentioned at the last board meeting, I wanted to give some more information on the school board election. So we will have 3 open board seats for 3-year terms each. The candidate nominating petitions must be filed with the Union County Clerk by 4 p.m. on Monday, July 25th. So that gives exactly 2 months. For those interested, the election will be held on Tuesday, November 8th. In transportation news, we received some bad news from our primary outsource vendor, First Student. They have declined to renew our routes for the coming school year. They continue to struggle daily with fulfilling this year's contract, have insufficient staff, and have been non-renewing with many other school districts. In speaking with the Union County Ed Services Commission, they are concerned because this is happening throughout Union County with a multitude of vendors. It's happening throughout northern New Jersey and throughout the state, and it's not likely to be in a corrective mode anytime soon. So we are going to have to go out and rebid these routes. We are currently working on preparing the specs, and hopefully we'll have a bid opening. The plan is to get the specs out this week or early next, and have the bid opening on June 10th, which is a Friday. Hopefully, we'll get some bidders, because it is possible that no one bids at all. We will be bidding out for 14 routes. There is always the possibility, and I just want to let everyone be aware that if there are no vendors, we would have to bid out multiple times. We may have to remove subscription and courtesy busing at some point if we do not get vendors to bid on these routes. And so we will be working also with the Union County Superintendent's Office, the Union County Board of Education, to see what the options are if we continue to bid and bid and bid, and I'm hoping we don't have to go down that path, and then what would happen thereafter, or what our options are for the legally mandated busing. So I just want to make everyone aware that that is a possibility, but we will certainly try our best in earnest to fulfill these spots by June 10th. That's all I have for tonight.
Thank you. Thank you, Julie. Just a follow-up question on the busing. Do we still have vacancies of our own bus drivers? I know we had a vacancies or two.
So we had a vacancy. We filled the vacancy. Unfortunately, as of tonight, on the agenda, we are approving a gentleman who is our new bus driver, is going to become a custodian. So we will once again be short our own drivers. So just like everyone else. And we are advertising for that now.
So we only just have the one vacant, soon to be vacant position?
Currently, yes, one position, and I believe he's going to start, if I'm not mistaken, 6/1. So the Transportation Department is actively looking to fill that spot.
All right, thank you, Julie.
So, can you hear me? So are we still having trouble finding bus drivers?
100%. Absolutely, as are all the vendors and other districts who have run their own buses. It continues to be a very serious labor shortage.
Okay. Moving on to comments from the public on agenda items only. During this portion of the meeting, district residents and staff are invited to address the Board of Education on agenda action items only. The board requests that individuals state their name and town of residence or school of attendance for the record, the specific action items they are commenting on, and ask that all remarks be directed to the board president or designee, not to the individual member or staff. The board asks that members of the public be courteous and mindful of the rights of other individuals when speaking. Specifically, comments regarding personal matters are discouraged and cannot be responded to by the board. Students and employees have specific legal rights afforded by the laws of New Jersey. The board bears no responsibility, nor will it be liable for any comments made by members of the public. If a matter concerning a district staff member is of interest or concern to a resident, the matter should be referred to the responsible building principal, superintendent of schools, or the Board of Education by telephone, letter, or email. Although the board may not respond to items raised during the public forum, all public comments will be considered. Please note that if any of the members become disruptive during the meeting, the board president may terminate the participant session. Continued disruption may result in removal from the meeting or adjournment of the meeting. Each speaker's statement will be limited to 3 minutes in duration. Does anybody of the public wish to make a comment on agenda items only? Yes, please.
Good evening, John McGuez, 56 Quince Avenue in Berkeley Heights. I just wanted to read the email that I sent to the board on the substance abuse policy, if that's okay, just to have it as a matter of record. Good morning. I've reviewed the attachments. There's a lot to write about, but I would like to focus on the substance use policy in this email, which is up for review at tonight's meeting. The substance abuse policy presents the district with an opportunity to help students. It can be a first step to making the district a model and using evidence-based interventions to solve problems. Suspensions are precisely the opposite of what best practice calls for in connection to a substance use or dependence problem or disorder. It removes structure, the relationships a teen or child has to supportive environments that could provide education, alternatives, and support. It creates a stigma through exclusion. It only has the potential to make a problematic situation more problematic, as it promotes the very things folks who work in this field try to help clients avoid. Hard, meaningful consequences can still be present, and they can still disincentivize behavior while helping a teen or child stay connected and supported. And I provided 2 links to research in connection to the impact that suspensions have on teens and children later on, greater legal issues, more problematic academic performance, and there really isn't a benefit to context with suspension. There's no evidence to support that suspensions help the school as an environment. One model of care that I operate from has an approach called correction and overcorrection, which demonstrates good results on a program level. And it's consistent with things like restorative justice and project-based discipline. And these concepts are already being used in classrooms throughout the country. As substance dependence is a disability, this can be one evidence-based intervention that the district can point to under the DEI plan, and it can be used as a launching pad for responses to other issues, HIB, for example. So there's been this big debate on outcomes and goals within DEI. I don't see why anybody would be upset about the fact that people are bringing that up, and this provides us an opportunity to implement goals in a real way that could demonstrate good outcomes. Blah, blah, blah. There's no regulatory barriers to this. And then there were some follow-up questions from a board member that I answered, and I just wanted to point those out. An example of this, instead of a suspension, for example, and I don't know how legal this is. I mean, there's other schools who do this. You could talk to them, but it's just kind of in my head. You know, maybe a kid or a teen can work on something after school, you know, landscaping, cleaning the bathrooms, you know, and as an option. You have a choice to be suspended, or you have a choice to do this, and then you could do a paper on substance use. And maybe we could just try it out as the first step. You don't have to replace suspensions across the board in the policy. Maybe on the first offense, offer that as an alternative to suspension.
John,
Right?
if you can just wrap it up, it's been 3 minutes, please.
I know, I have about on time. I know, there's a lot of stuff here, Mike. I mean, you
I
guys
understand.
cram everything in here. Blah, 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 blah. And then talk to other school districts. All right, thank you.
Thank you, John. Any other member of the public wishes to address the board on agenda items only?
Dipti Khanna, 34 Pine Grove Road. I have 2 kids in the district. I have two points on the agenda items. One is around the legal bills. There are an awful lot of legal bills that are getting approved without enough supporting data behind that at least doesn't show up on the agenda. I don't think it shows up on the BHPS website either. So I'm requesting that since they're being approved, that they be released over on the website to the public for them to go and take a look at it. The second question that I have is, on the agenda today, you have a new social media policy being either discussed or approved, I'm not sure what. I'm curious where that is coming from. Is there a regulatory requirement? Is there a state requirement? What is prompting this social media policy, so to speak? Because from just a brief review of it, it seems like you're discouraging people to speak on social media, discouraging BOE members or parents or township people. So help me understand what is prompting this policy.
Is that all your questions?
Yeah.
Okay. So on the legal bills, I have to refer back to legal counsel and find out if we can do that. I'm not sure what can and cannot be publicly put down in it because of attorney-client privileges. So that way I have to respond back to you at the next meeting. I don't know what the answer is if we can or cannot do that. And with regard to the social media policy, this is something we're doing that other districts are doing as far as how board members should and should not be to make sure we're doing everything within the current law. So the policy is done. This is a very similar policy that's being used at other districts in the surrounding area in New Jersey.
but there is no state requirement for, or any kind of a recommendation from the state or the DOE or whatever.
I'm not sure if there's a recommendation, but I just know we're going to be putting a policy in place to make sure we follow what we need to do on public statements, on Facebook, on everything on social media.
And how do you monitor what social media is? It takes, multiple forms. Like,
All
are
right.
you going to go and see Snapchat? Are you going to go TikTok?
So that's-
How do you monitor that?
That's what we have, that's what we're doing, so there's the policy we're putting in place, please. Okay?
Thank you.
Seeing no one?
Do I have to say who I am again? I also have an objection to the social media policy, and I encourage if this, it's not passed yet, right? I mean, board members haven't passed this yet, correct? No. Okay. I encourage every board member not to follow that policy. You're not going to be brought up on anything. You have a right to speak your mind. You have a right to inform the public of what's going on. There are very vague terms in that policy that can be used, like who defines defamatory, derogatory. What's derogatory? Is any criticism of the board derogatory? Is any criticism of the decision the superintendent makes derogatory? So sometimes we just have to break rules for good reasons. And if the board ends up passing this, this is probably a good policy to break. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to address the board? Seeing, this is agenda items only, correct? Okay, seeing no one, we'll move on to minutes. Can I have a motion to approve all meeting minutes? Resolution A.
So moved.
And do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Wait.
Oh.
I have a question about these. Once we approve these, my understanding is it becomes a public document. So does that mean that somebody can now get these under Oprah? That's right? There's no further, approval, formally releasing it by the board?
No, they become a business. They become a public record. They would just be requested through the business office, through the custodian of records. Thank you.
As an Oprah request?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
No, we're talking about exec session.
No, I didn't single out any. I didn't single out any type. You're talking about both types, right? Okay.
Okay, roll call, Julie, please.
So just to follow up, if it is for exec session minutes, once they're approved, they can be released, anybody requests.
With redactions.
Yes, yeah, okay.
Mrs. Zakiri.
Is that working? I'll approve the regular meeting minutes and no to the exec session minutes. Approving regular meeting minutes for April 28th and May 9th, and no to the exec.
Yes to A and C, and no to
B and D.
Thank you. Mr. Cianciulli.
Yes to all.
Dr. Forger.
Let's see, yes to A and C and no to B and D.
Mr. Hyman.
Yes.
Mrs. Penna.
Yes.
Mrs. Stanley.
Yes.
Mr. DeQuilla.
Yes. Administration, can I have a motion to approve resolutions A through E for all board members?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
So you have a
Mike.
second? Yeah. Discussion?
So before discussion, Mike, I would like to move the motion to remove some policies from A, and I think the second reading ones, the B, because we got less than 48 hours to review, and these are almost like 40 policies, but I just want a motion to remove P0134, 0164, 0169.02, and the substance abuse, which is R5530, P7461, and...
I'm sorry, you said R5530?
I'm
Yes.
going to actually need you to say them all again, so I can note this.
I'm trying to take notes, go very slowly.
Okay, for the first reading, I want P0134, P0164, P0169.02, R5530, P7461.
45530, and what was the last one?
P7461.
Is that
So
all?
this is, what is this? This is a motion then to,
I have other policies.
yeah, I'm just trying to understand what you're getting at.
So the motion is to, because I got less than 48 hours to review them, there were 40 policies that were sent, and I have some questions that I have sent an email to the policy committee chair and the policy committee, and I know it was around 3 o'clock today, but then bear with me, we got them at 4:13 yesterday. So I would like, I have some questions and concerns, and I would like to maybe ask for a meeting to discuss these concerns and questions. So I would like to table them until the next meeting.
So is that the only item you asked?
No. These were the first hearing, and for the second hearing, I would like to table motion to remove 0132, Executive Authority, 0146, Board Member Authority, 0151, Organization Meeting, 0162, Notice of Board Meetings, 0167, Public Participation of Board Meetings, and R5330.05, which is Seizure Action Plan. I think for the second reading, everything is a revision of an existing policy. They're not mandated by law, except for the new policy that's on, which is 5330.05.
Are those the only items you
Yes.
wish to table as under administration?
Yes.
All right, so there's a motion on the floor to poll policies under item A, policies P0134, P0164, P0169.02, R5530, P7461. Under item B, policy P0132, P0146, P0151, P0162, P0167, and R5330.05. There's a motion to pull those policies from the agenda. Is there a second on this motion?
Yes, I will second that.
There's a second by Tom. Any discussion?
What?
Yes.
Roll call.
Do we have to give our discussion is when we give our concerns, right?
You just gave your concern, so now we're going to vote to poll.
No, the concern was just not the time. When you have the discussion for the motion, I just want to say, on the social media policy, I would like to understand the need for this policy. As somebody said, language is very vague, and I feel it's a blatant violation of our First Amendment rights. And then, does a school board have the authority to amend a state ethics code? We are all bound by the state ethics code. I would also like to review any supporting legal research from Strauss-Esme prior to adopting at first reading. This is not mandated by law, and I also would like to know, did the policy committee recommend this for the first reading? And as one of the citizens said, policy is not defining derogatory, inflammatory. It's very vague on who makes the determination. For example, if a statement is made that is factual, for example, on SAT scores or test proficiency scores, how is a factual statement going to be determined? And does the board has the power to censor another board member? That's a huge concern for me. And as per NJSBA training that we all got, there is no urgency for the board to vote on an agenda item or a policy unless it is time sensitive, like budget, health, or security. So I believe that this doesn't fall under that, and it's not state mandated, so we should be able to table this. And on substance abuse, I believe that the language in that policy is punitive. And we know that the school year is almost getting close to it. I think we have until very less time. So I have some concerns, and I would like to meet with the policy committee and then go through that in more detail, because I believe that we need to look at the root cause and work with the parents and the counselors and the students in coming up with a plan on when they make a first offense. Instead of, at the first offense, like we're going to suspend them and then we're going to ban them from playing games for the school and stuff. So I believe there's no urgency, so hence that's the reason. Those are my concerns.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I have some comments on the social media policy. I've yet to obtain a legal analysis of this policy, and I have grave concerns that it violates the First Amendment. Second, it was not clear to me who would actually enforce this policy and what the penalties for a violation would be. Paragraph 2 defines a social network as a place where people may post, quote, information that may be viewed with or without permission from the person making such post. It was not clear to me if internet email would be considered a social network. The policy would seem to prohibit a board member in some cases from participating in an online poll where their response is publicly viewable, or even to issue a like to some post. Item 3 prohibits posting derogatory information, but derogatory information can even be true, and that would be a violation of the First Amendment. Item 4 has a restriction on posting about information that may in the future come before the board. This is a prior restraint on free speech. Violations are to be addressed by a request from the superintendent or board to cease. This gives the superintendent authority over a board member conduct. I don't think that should be allowed. There seems to be a mixture of conduct regulated by this policy and conduct regulated by the School Ethics Act. I would like to see all the school ethics conduct rules removed, since we are already subject to those rules. That would make, what exactly is this policy adding to the School Ethics Act? Now, let's see, there was another one. Okay, so that takes care of the social media. 5530 is the substance abuse. Our policy committee was not able to reach an agreement on what this policy should say. To me, that indicates more research is needed. So I'm disappointed that this regulation is back on for adoption. The regulation provides punitive measures for a violation of a policy. The exact same punishment is provided by policy 5331, so I don't even see the need for this regulation at all. But let me address the substance of the problem. Substance abuse, according to the mental health professionals, is a mental, emotional, and behavioral disorder. This comes from the National Institute on Drug Abuse, which is an agency within the CDC. Some other examples of this type of disorder are depression and anxiety. I do not agree with the idea of punishing people for depression or anxiety, nor do I agree with punishment for a substance abuse disorder. The recommendation of the mental health professionals is that we should maintain a safe and secure schools connection with students. Students should participate in extracurricular activities and not be excluded. Every effort should be made to maintain this connection to the school for the student. So what I would like to see is that in all cases there would be a referral to our substance abuse coordinator and a meeting with the parents. However, for distribution of a substance, I think it should be confiscated, and there would be an out-of-school suspension for that, because we do need to protect our students. Now, the administrative code that I've been able to find does not specify any particular punishment for violations of a policy like this. So it's really up to us. No one is telling us what to do. We need to maintain that connection between the student and the school and continue to provide educational services while at the same time maintaining a safe environment for all our students. This may not be an easy task, but I think our staff are up to the job. I could give you specific recommendations.
We can,
What?
yeah, well, you guys can bring it up under committee and get.
Okay.
So,
Basically, I think the board should take an enlightened view of this, the mental health view, and not the punitive, lawyer-like view.
Okay.
Sorry. Now, let's see. So that takes care of 5530. The only other one, she didn't mention this, but I'd like to talk a little bit about 5200 regulation. And it's just a small change.
this is not part of this motion.
Okay, I'll come back to that. So we're just doing these two.
Correct.
And then I do support,
And the school have a second reading.
on second reading. Okay, I gave you a second on that. I don't have anything to say, but I do think anytime, in general, I think anytime a board member has a concern, I think we should have a discussion.
Okay, thank you. Well, at this point in time, we're going to take a vote to table it. If the majority of the board supports it, and then it'll go back to committee. If the majority of the board does not support the motion, we'll go back to the...
Shouldn't we make our case?
I'm sorry.
Before the vote, shouldn't we make our case as to why?
Yeah, you have discussion.
Okay.
Robert, would you be willing, Robert?
I have no comment. I leave this to Dr. Varley.
So I am going to comment. So the three policies that Dr. Forger mentioned, we have actually had multiple meetings about. We've had multiple correspondence through email about. So we have had all the discussion that he said tonight, we have had behind the scenes in our policy committee. We actually offered on, I think it was Friday, but I was busy with my dance recital over the weekend. So on Friday, we offered to have a meeting this week before today, and Dr. Forger did not give us a time that he was available. So that's one. Two, substance abuse policy. I know a lot of people are talking about mental health. This policy is actually to do with when children come to school under the influence of alcohol or substance abuse. Drugs, right? So if you come to school and you test positive for drugs or alcohol, you cannot remain in the building in our schools. That's what the policy is saying. Everything else, we do have mental health and counselors who do address students who are struggling with substance abuse. This policy is about having children in school who are under the influence. We cannot allow that to happen in our schools. That's why that we have this policy. The social networks is something the policy committee has brought forward. Again, if you cannot follow the social network policy, most likely you are breaking ethics anyways. If you write defamatory stuff online, that is against board code of ethics. And I wanted to comment that on the second reading, the items that have been asked to be tabled, these items actually were asked to be tabled last meeting a month ago, and the policy committee has not received any correspondence in the last month asking what we should change. So I think that tabling them now would just prolong just nothing, right? We're just going to be back here again, which is where we are with the substance abuse policy. So that is what I believe the policy committee stance is. Thank you.
Dr. Varley, would you just check tomorrow with the attorney, defamatory versus derogatory? If one is preferred over the other. I see that.
Is this on? I sent you an email, but it was late, that defamatory is the term that should be used as opposed to derogatory.
Okay.
Okay.
I didn't see it. Okay. Well, that's.
And as someone who did the bills this month, I can say that legal counsel did look over this social network policy after Dr. Forger asked us to, so we did do that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Can we have, we were thinking about,
Can we see, can entire board before we vote? No, I'm asking about the legal research for the legal research for these bills. Next time, I think as a good precedence, before these policies come up for reading, we need to get the legal research. so that we can review them ourselves. A legal bill does not suffice as,
Okay.
a due diligence was done. Thank
We're
you.
going to a vote now, please.
I need to respond. I did not respond to Robert. I'm sorry I didn't do that.
Tom, we need
I wouldn't
we
just-
need to actually
We're
vote.
going to just
We're
vote
tabling
to
it.
table it or not table
I
it.
thought we're still discussing it, aren't we?
Yes.
No?
It's a discussion.
But we've had a discussion.
I'm-
Now we're actually determining whether to table
Oh,
it.
I didn't know that. We only allowed one chance to say something?
Please,
So
What?
let him respond. Why are you?
I would like to,
Yes,
team,
you
please,
did
board,
interrupt.
if I could please speak. Tom, please make your response. I would like to make the vote then.
Okay. I'm sorry I didn't respond to Robert. I thought I would have time, but I never did get through. It was a struggle to get through all of the package and so on. And as far as the policy deals with what happens if you test positive, and there's an immediate 4-day suspension. And I don't see the need for that. Because some drugs, the effect wears off pretty quickly. I think we know that. So you don't really need to stay out 4 days. How you handle a kid that comes to school intoxicated, we can talk about that, but I don't think anybody needs to be kept out for 4 days.
All right, thank you, Tom.
And we had a negotiations meeting, so.
Thank
I
you.
have a
Thank
question
you.
for the attorney, Francis. Is there a way we can pass this on first reading by amending it and taking out the word derogatory, but leaving in defamatory at this point? Or do we change it at the second reading?
This is on the first reading?
Is there an analysis?
I mean, if this is the only concern of the members with tabling it, if that's.
No, it's not. It's not. It's my question going forward. I think that should or will be done. Can we do it now?
No, it's more of a substantive change. You would have to put it back on the agenda for a first reading after making that.
Okay.
Okay, roll call, please, Julie.
Mrs. Akiri. Oh, this is for the motion to table.
Motion to table
The
the
aforementioned.
aforementioned policies that I,
Right. Mrs. Akiri.
Yes.
Mr. Chinchulli.
No.
Dr. Forger.
Yes.
Mr. Hyman.
No.
Mrs. Penna.
No.
Mrs. Stanley. Mr. DeQuilla.
no. Can I have a vote on resolutions A through E, please?
Wait a minute. Can I, let's see, there's another policy I'd like to amend, I guess. This is the one for first reading, R 5200.
Can we, I just need to ask a question. Can we make a modification to on a first read here, or does that?
It depends on what the modification is. If it's substantive, it has to go back on for a first reading, but what would you?
Okay, there's a list of things that count as an excused absence. And the one thing that is on there that I disagree with is time off to take our children to school, to work day. I don't think that should be a valid excuse for missing school. I looked at the New Providence policy and they don't allow that exemption.
All right, so
Basically, I'd just like to strike, take our children to work day as an exemption.
no, then you have to vote no on it.
What?
My recommendation, and if you don't agree with that, to vote no on that policy then.
So we can't amend it.
Yeah, you'd have to vote no and then bring it back to policy.
Okay. You cannot amend it today.
It's a substantive change.
Okay, so when it comes back for second reading, then?
No, it's go back for first. If you vote no, it goes to a first reading again. Because you're making a substantive change. It has to go back before the public.
That's a substantive change?
Yeah,
Not very substantive.
I'm not arguing. That's my.
I'm not either.
That's my advice. It would have to go back through.
All right.
New Providence doesn't have.
No, it's not New Jersey law.
No, it's only, one of the
What?
only state-approved absences, take your child to work day.
What?
There's
Right,
no
so-
motion on the floor.
Wait a minute, you're saying that a district has to allow a kid to miss school
Tom, okay,
to take our children to work day? then that means New Providence is in violation of
Okay,
state law.
we're
Is
not
that
talking about
right?
New Providence.
Yeah, but I mean, it can't be a state law. It's a list of things that you can exclude,
Okay,
exempt.
all right, we're moving to a vote now, please. Julie?
On administration A through E, Mrs. Akiri.
Can we have discussion on number C? Which is abolishing a mandated, I think this is a policy 9110, quality assurance annual report. It says that it's mandated by law. So my question is, why are we abolishing this if this is mandated by law?
The code has changed, and so therefore it's no longer valid.
What is the code?
The code, the state code, the New Jersey
Can you
state
give me
code.
the specific code so I can check it up that it's
I did
longer-
send them to Tom this afternoon, but I don't have them off the top of my head what the state codes are.
So when I looked up this policy, there were at least 6 New Jersey NJSAs and NJAC codes mentioned. So you're saying all of them are obsolete?
Our law firm that does our policies, Strauss Esme, is asking us to abolish this policy because the code is no longer valid.
Okay. In future, can I request that if our law firm is recommending us, and if this is a policy that's mandated by law, and you're abolishing it, I think that needs to be submitted as supporting information, instead of just dumping 40 policies and some 200 pages with no supporting information, and giving us less than 24 hours to ask you for questions. I did send this email out. I didn't get any responses until before I checked, before the meeting started.
Okay, so that would be a motion to give to the policy committee that is an ask if we're abolishing it to provide the
Yeah,
backup.
because I think we are abolishing it and we are saying that this is no longer valid, but there is no information. So how does a board member is expected to vote on it when the code is not mentioned and we cannot see any legal substantive basis for removing this, abolishing this state mandated policy?
Because I trust the committee. So if you want to wish to vote no, then you can vote no.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, vote please.
On administration A through E, Mrs. Akiri.
No to A, B, C, and yes to D. I think the agenda changed. Just hold on one second.
There's an E.
So B is still second hearing. That's a no. C was the abolish. I wish to abstain. I like to look at more information.
Wait, I'm sorry, you had originally said no to A, B, and C. Which one do you want to abstain from?
C.
C?
The abolish, yes.
Okay.
And then approve the report of the superintendent on HIB is a yes.
So yes to D and E, no to A and B, abstain to C.
Yes, thank you.
Mr. Chinchulli.
Yes to all.
Dr. Forger.
Okay, let's see. Yes to E, yes to D. I'll vote yes on C, but I have some reservations about getting rid of this because I think we need that information. Yes to B. And then on A, I'm going to vote no on the social media policy 0169.02 and no on 5200, take our children to work day, and no on the substance abuse policy 5530.
Yes to B, C, D, and E, and no to A.
Well, A is mostly...
Mostly yes, but no to the social
but
media.
the 3 of the policies I'm voting no on.
5200, take your children to work,
Yeah.
and no to substance abuse.
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Hyman.
Yes to all.
Mrs. Penna.
Yes to all.
Mrs. Stanley.
Yes, all.
Mr. DeQuilla.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, education, can I have a motion to approve resolutions A through D for all board members?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion?
I just need information on C, approve acceptance of tuition student. Can Can Dr. Worley or somebody provide additional information on what this is?
Last year, we accepted a tuition student, I think it was December, and they want to continue at GL.
Okay, thank you. So it's only education A to D? Yes. Okay.
Correct.
And then one question on D, on approved contracted services. I see that we provide interpreting service on-site or remotely, and I see that the rate is $85 an hour. So is the rate same if the person providing the interpretation or the interpreting service is on-site or remote? Is it the same rate?
Same rate.
Okay. We cannot negotiate a different rate for remote versus in person? You mean, when does this so we are approving the contract now, right?
Yep.
For a year. And why are we not in a position to ask them for these two services? Because normally, I think the industry standards is when you're in person, you charge a lot more versus a remote. How does remote interpretation work?
That's not a question I wouldn't be able to answer. I don't have the expertise to answer that. So that is all Michelle Gardner. This is all for the special ed students.
So we are talking, this is special ed students with disabilities and they need interpretation and it's done remotely and the person's not here, and so can we not just table this to get some additional information and then put it on the next month's agenda?
I would not recommend that.
Why, what's the deadline?
Our Director of Special Services knows exactly what she needs for her students. So I trust that what she has put on here is what needs to be done for her students. So
What-
you could delay what's happening this summer with all of our programs that are happening by pushing this off. So
What-
I recommend that the board continue with this, these services.
What's the absolute deadline that we have to pass this? Like, by when do we need to approve this contract?
I have no idea. But I know we're going to be needing this for the summer. So I suggest we're just tabling it for.
No, I'm okay with approving it for in-person at this rate, but all I'm saying is if we don't have additional information,
Why would there be an expectation that we would spend any less for remote? I mean, we didn't pay our teachers any less when they were out during the pandemic and people were in and out.
no, some of the special needs children do need I want to understand. So I'm not saying that it's not accurate. I just need additional information on what is this service. And the answer from Dr. Worley was she cannot provide this information. What are these interpretation services?
This is actually for the rest of May and June. So this is, yeah.
It's
so
both.
No, the next one is from 22 to 23 school year.
Correct.
We've been using it up until now. It's continuing their contract for the next year. I don't know the specifics behind it. I trust my Director of Special Services.
Fine.
I'm not understanding this. I thought we have our own interpreters at the high school.
We do, but sometimes they need to take days off. We don't have enough to fill positions, and we must have them to fill in certain things.
So these are interpreting substitutes.
Some of them could be, yes.
Okay.
Okay, vote please.
Education A through D, Mrs. Akiri.
Yes to A, B, C. D, I think I will vote yes for everything, but abstain from the interpreting services until I get additional information. And Dr. Worley, can you please follow up with Mrs. Gardner and get this information? Thank you.
Abstain from both of the interpreting
No,
services?
the remainder of the year, I would approve, but for the next year, I would like to abstain until I get additional information.
Mr. Chinchuli.
Yes to all.
Dr. Forger.
Yes to all.
Mr. Hyman.
Yes.
Mrs. Penna.
Yes.
Mrs. Stanley.
Yes.
Mr. DeQuilla.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Personnel, can I have a motion to approve resolutions A through DD for all board members and resolutions EE through MM for Berkeley Heights board members only?
So moved.
Can I have
Second.
Second. Discussion, please.
Yeah, I have a question about, let's see, F.
Okay.
Just a minute. Okay, F is approval of central office personnel, and it lists business office, superintendent's office, but it also has technology, transportation, and administration. And then, but these three later groups, namely technology, transportation, administration, are being separately voted on. So why are they being included in F? Could I just have those three struck from F? Because they're going to be voted on separately anyway.
I'm not.
So I think that this is an issue that we would need to discuss. We can't discuss in public. These are easily identifiable people. They have not been riced, and they cannot be discussed in public.
No, I'm just asking why we're voting twice on the same people.
Because if you noticed in the Personnel Committee minutes what I sent out, I had a group that there was some people asking for specific things, and we need to have another follow-up Personnel Committee meeting in June for the June 16th agenda. So they will not be voted on tonight.
So tonight we're going to vote on business office and superintendent's office as part of F, but F, that attachment also includes technology, transportation, and administration.
Some, yes.
Some.
Some, not all.
It's the
There was
same people.
If you read your Personnel Committee minutes, there was a whole group of people we left out because we need to have a discussion.
No, I looked at the names, it's the same people.
On the agenda, we have.
Yeah.
Did the attachments list the positions?
It does on some of them, yes.
Technology G is Mike Scara, H is Julie, and I is Mary Beth.
Yes.
And J, well, J is J is not repeated. So, I mean, these G, H, and I are all repeated later on. So they really, I don't think they belong in F.
But they do. They belong on that spreadsheet that we sent you all. There's another separate group that we'll be voting on in June.
No. On today's agenda, we have these personnel.
Yes,
listed
you have
twice.
those personnel, but there's another I don't really know what you're asking me, I guess. I
Well,
thought you were
let's-
asking about the
let's-
people we left out in the Personnel Committee minutes.
No, take a look. Do you have somebody got attachment F? They can read it to us. Side,
Attachment D,
you
you
have-
mean?
Are you saying in attachment B, the same people are listed that were on G, H, and I?
Yes.
That's because they have separate contracts. You're approving their contracts. You're not, on the one, you're approving their salaries and moving forward. On the other, you're approving their contracts that have to be board approved. So Mary Beth, Julie get contracts that have to be board approved.
Right. And what am I, in F, then what am I approving there?
That's a contract from the Board of Education and the technology coordinator.
Which one do you want, attachment F?
Yeah.
D, attachment D.
I have it, yeah.
From F is the people in my office, the administrative assistants in my office, and the administrative assistants in Julie's office.
Right, right. I agree with that part of it, business office and superintendent's office. But also in attachment
D is this one.
D,
This is the one.
take a look at D.
D, we have these people.
Yeah. D has technology, but D also is being approved under item G.
That's
Same-
because-
Same thing.
That's because he has a specific contract. You're approving his contract.
Okay. So what am I still don't understand in D.
One's a contract,
Yeah.
one's moving forward for next year. So they're two separate things. Mary Beth, Mike, and Julie have to have a contract. You're approving their contract.
Okay.
But you also have to approve their salary moving forward.
Well, the salary's in the contract, right?
But it also has other information in the contract.
So being that they both match, we're approving A, compensation, and B, the contract as a whole. Okay. A vote, please.
Mrs. Zakiri.
So, give me 1 second. is personnel.
Correct, this is personnel.
Yes to A. B is I think just hold on one second. Because of the revised agenda sent late, what I printed out might not agree, so I just need to confirm. A is a yes. B, creating the half full-time position for transition coordinator is a yes. C, I need information. It says confidential secretary, so I will abstain from that. D is tenured personnel. Is that the one that we just spoke about, that it's
No,
twice?
these are all the tenured teachers, administrators.
Yes, okay. D is yes. E, reemployment, and E is a yes. F is yes. G, just hold on. G is for Mr. Scara, yes. And H is a no. And I is a no. J is yes. K is yes. L is a no. M is a no. Then, yeah, so, but I have to cross-verify the numbers. Sorry for that. O is a yes for seasonal custodians. P, reemployment of treasurer of school funds is a no. I don't think we need this position. Q, I will abstain from Q. R is a yes. Yes is yes. T is a yes. U, T, U, V, W, all the way to EE is a yes. I have a question on FF. Is this position included in our budget?
Yes.
That's a yes then. Question, GG is a yes. HH, for the psychologist, it says pending certification, so is that the same number on the new agenda? Oh my God. Yeah, okay. Yeah. So can you please advise why are we hiring somebody who's pending certification, and how much time do they need?
So when they graduate from college, they don't automatically get their certification. They have to put into it for apply. They will have it within the next month or so.
Okay, then it's a yes. So the revised agenda is missing some pages on my end. Okay. Then is JJ reassignment of personnel?
That is the improvement of the NAP interventionists.
Oh, that's a yes. Okay, so my agenda has to. Reassignment of personnel, I think I would like to abstain from that. I don't know what the number for that one is. KK, okay. Transfer of personnel, is this a new position for physical therapy, full-time?
It's an increased FTE. They went from 80% to 100% of an employee.
So we are approving the position, and was it included in the budget?
Approved it.
You're just.
No, time out. You already just approved that.
HH was the increase.
Okay, so I'm sorry, I don't have the revised agenda with the correct numbers. I'm going by what was sent like yesterday. So the physical therapy position is it included in the budget?
Yes.
Okay, then it's a yes. We just have until LL, right?
and MM.
Oh my God. Does anybody have that? Thank you.
You approved LL.
Yes, and MM is an approval too. Thank you.
Mr. Chinchulli?
Yes to all.
Dr. Forger?
Okay, so it's mostly yes. And I think I'll make life easier. I'll just say the ones that are no. Does that help?
Sure.
Okay. So we'll say no on C, no on H, no on I, no on L, no on M, and then we get to P. That's the treasurer of school funds. That's going to be a no, because we don't need that position. It's not required by code. And also, the title should be treasurer of school monies.
It's statutory.
Well, I did check that, of course, and it is treasurer of school monies, not school funds. Okay?
So you're voting no to the title or voting no to the position?
We don't need the position, so I'm voting no.
So no to CHILMP.
And alpha and beta and gamma, yes. Sorry about that.
That was a joke?
Yes.
Oh. Mr. Hyman?
Yes on A through DD, and just comment on why, just to thank Scott McKinney, I know he's not here tonight, but for his years of service to the district.
Mrs. Penna?
Yes.
Mrs. Stanley?
Yeah.
Mr. DeQuilla?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Business, can I have a motion to approve resolutions A through H for all board members and item I for Berkeley Heights board members only?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Just hold on, Mike. I'm trying to find it on my package, the business. I have some questions. What is the page number on the revised agenda?
I'm sorry, say again?
I said
19.
19, okay.
While we're waiting, can I ask for E, are our activity fees all intact year over year, or are any of these changed for GL or CMS?
These
I
are the
think they're
same that
intact.
they've been since I've been here.
Okay, thanks.
So I'm approving everything except for abstaining from C. I think we already have.
But we're not, all right, so
Were we
roll call.
discussing or doing?
Roll call, roll call.
Mrs. Akiri?
Oh, sorry. If you have any questions, then this is the discussion.
Wait, there's a motion on business, right?
Business, A through R.
Let me ask about fireworks at graduation. Where would this be held?
Say again?
Where would the fireworks be held?
At the field.
At GL?
Yes.
The field behind the turf field.
So there would be no,
We do it every year.
It was done the last 2 years.
there would be no residual falling on the turf.
We have not had residual falling on the turf.
This is the third year they're doing the town.
Okay.
The first year was a surprise,
What?
and last year they did it, and now it's just very nice donation for the students.
Of course, yeah.
Okay, so vote please, Julie.
Mrs. Akiri?
Voting on yes on everything except for C, I would like to abstain. If this is not final.
This is business.
Mr. Chinchulli?
Yes to all.
Dr. Forger?
Let's see, no on the auditor and yes on the rest of it.
No to A,
No-
yes
no to A and
B to I.
B through I is yes.
Okay. Mr. Hyman?
Yes on A through H.
Mrs. Penna?
Yes to all.
Mrs. Stanley?
Yes to all.
Mr. DeQuilla?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Finance, can I have a motion to approve Resolution A? All board members. Who did?
So moved. So moved, Mike.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
Okay, discussion? Sorry. Any discussion?
Yes. So I went and reviewed the legal bills that were approved from January to March. And I saw on the invoice, and this was a question that I wanted to ask, but then Julie was out of office, and I asked somebody who was there, but they didn't have the information. The invoice was actually presented for one particular vendor, I think it's Cleary Jacoby, for $40,000, and then it was stuck out, and we paid $22,000 from January to March.
Just to clarify, is this a question or comment on the bill? Is this
Yeah.
in this bill? Is this in this bill that we're, because this is approving this month's bills list?
Okay, so in this month's bill, also for the same vendor, I see that when I looked at the bills list, it says January to June. That's the reason why I'm asking, I'm talking about last time's approval, because last board meeting, I think we approved January, February, March. And this time we are seeing, again, January to June being billed. But then it only says April for $12,553 for one vendor. So what did we approve previously?
So this was explained by someone in my office. The purchase order was created and encumbered for the last 6-month period of the school year. So the encumbrance says January through June. That's just the purchase order shorthand. The payment is actually for whatever month the bill is for, and I believe it's April at this point.
Okay, so for January to March, we paid them $22,000, and then just for April, we're paying them, the charges being asked to pay are $12,553.
I don't have it in front of me, so I can't
The
say
bills-
yes or no on
Yeah,
that.
it's check number 206002, and it says $12,553 for April.
Then that would be, then that
So
is-
just for 1 month, we're paying $12,553.
I would need to double check, but if that is what was written there, then that should be the accurate notation for the invoice.
Okay. And I could come in and review the
As you
bills
did-
or the...
as you did last time,
Yeah,
yes.
along with the log.
Along with the what?
The log for initiating the legal work.
The law?
The log. There's a log that we have to
There is
maintain.
not a log.
How do you, so how do we know who contacted for legal services? We don't maintain a log on,
It's checked by the office.
yeah. Yeah, that I understand, that the policy authorizes who can reach out. So all I'm saying is, whenever we reach out and seek legal advice, we don't maintain, this was the date and this was the time that we reached out to so-and-so legal counsel. So how do we tie the bills? All I'm saying is, you reach out to legal counsel and they're billing us $12,553 in 1 month. So how are the services rendered? You don't keep a tab of how many times you reached out to the legal counsel?
Can I answer it, or do you want to answer it?
Julie and I both review the legal bills. We are generally the ones who talk to the attorneys the most. But I will say, anytime you keep them after a meeting to talk to them, you're being charged for it. So they're not sitting there having a great conversation with you for their help. This is their job. So when you're keeping them after a meeting, you're getting charged for it. So Julie and I are the ones who look at the bills, we make sure everything looks right, and then we send it off.
So I understand, like, so Frances was here during the award ceremony, and she's paid by the hour. So all through the 3 hours or 2 hours, we pay her. But all I'm saying is, except outside this board meeting, when you contact a legal attorney for any service, you don't keep a log of when, who contacted. You-
But still, it's the invoice that you receive.
So I'm getting it from the vendor, but I'm saying from a client perspective, No. So only the vendor is going to provide us the bill saying that so-and-so contacted me on so-and-so date. We, as the client or the entity, we don't maintain a log on when we contacted for legal services outside of the board meeting. No.
Well, I don't know. I mean,
do we maintain a log of when we reach out outside of?
Just said that we do not.
Okay, you do not. Tom Forager is saying, yes, we do. So,
All right.
We're supposed to, in the policy. My understanding is we do.
Okay, we can't answer at this point, so I'm moving forward with a vote. So roll call, please, Julie.
so can somebody respond back to me via email tomorrow? Do we maintain? I know Julie has said no, but, so we don't have a log.
Going by what?
Okay, thank you.
Business administrator
Mrs.
says.
Akiri.
So I will vote no on check number 206002. That's,
Could you just say it again? 206002?
Mhm.
Okay.
That's for the $12,553. And check number 206057, that's for Parisio Broomberg, that's for $2,058. Except for that, everything is a yes. Thank you.
Mr. Chinchulli.
Yes to all.
Dr. Forger.
Yes to all.
Mr. Hyman.
Yes.
Mrs. Penna. Mrs. Stanley.
So I know I probably should have said this earlier. I did the bills. Yes.
Sounded like that was going to be a lot more.
Mr. We got lost.
Mr. DeQuilla.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Moving on to comments for the public. Same blurb I said before, 3 minutes, please. Any comments from the public to the board? Yes, ma'am.
Hey, folks. Natasha Jolly at 60 Orion Road. So just to touch on what was just said, Francis, no disrespect, but during the award ceremony, why would we need to have an attorney present? Excuse me. So for the entire, I think it was like an hour and a half, 2 hours, that the teachers in retirement, were noted, there was an attorney present. For what purpose? So that's not a bill that I would be willing to support. Excuse me. Okay, and then there was I think an email that was sent to the board from Laura Kapp and Kapazinski, and this was in reference to budget items. There was $240,000 that year over year showed a reduction in like school supplies, in like the amount that was associated with school supplies. So I'm just curious to understand how that money, like what was cut from the actual physical supplies that were purchased for the kids. Then, Dr. Varley, thank you for your response. I'm very happy about the French teacher. So I don't have any comments on that right now. And then finally, on the first board meeting, Board of Ed meeting I attended, where the budget was discussed, there was also a question to Mr. McKinney about the equipment that's needed to facilitate Zoom meetings. So it's been about a month. He said we're very, very close. I know he's no longer here, but just curious to get a response as to the status of that equipment.
No, he's still here. He's just
Oh.
not available tonight.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought he was he's not attending anymore, but yes.
No, he's just not
Okay,
able to
great.
attend.
So would like to understand where that stands. And then finally, I'm just going to reference an email from Mr. Paul Young and Laura Young that was sent to the board back in April 19th. This is with respect to the resolution. I mean, I don't know if you folks are aware, his daughter, this is
Let
very
me
near
just
and
say
dear to
we
my
just
heart.
approved that tonight.
Oh, you did? I missed it. I'm sorry. Okay, great.
Yep,
So
I'll save you
that's
that
with the
one.
new design and everything, that's perfect.
right.
And in terms of the timing, I know he mentioned in his email, I think it's more to have that ready in time for the school year, so the kids that were of Annie's age could actually be Columbia Middle School while, and have this monument and see that monument for her. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I'll answer that in reverse order. So that's correct. So there's things that are outside of the board. We had to pass the resolution. Now it goes to, there's going to be permits required. So of course that's not our area. So permits need to be done because it's not a simple bread box. It is a structure. So there will be permitting required and everything. So that's the portion that we got to do unfortunately, the governmental order of which ways we have to do it. So now the board just approved the resolution to forward. So the next step is design, plans, permitting, construction, and hopefully all that goes through. Budget on equipment, I don't have an update on it. I was hoping Mr. McKinney would be here this evening, so I have to follow up on that. Cuts on supplies in the email from Ms. Kapuzinski. Based on a discussion I had, there is a difference between what was proposed versus what was passed versus what was done in the previous year. So my understanding is it was no cuts. It was just versus what was proposed versus what was actual. So there was no cuts, my understanding. So it was more of what was first asked in the budgeting process versus what was actually approved versus what was not reduced from the previous year. Thank you. Any other comments from the public?
Hi. A couple of comments. The first is on DEI, and I know there's been a lot of discussion around goals and all sorts of things. And again, I'm just trying to be helpful here. Like DEI there's a lot of information out there already that can be consistent with measuring DEI. There's a whole bunch of climate surveys that can be used and picked on. I'm not really sure what's so confusing about it. You know, it's all we're trying to do is sort of figure out, like if you want, I'm for DEI, I'm very supportive of DEI. And so anybody who's supportive of DEI wants to be sure it's going to work, that the district is following through and is being accountable to what it's saying the goals are. If you don't have goals, if you can't articulate what DEI is going to do and how you're going to measure it, it's really just a marketing plan. So I have a couple of examples here how it could be measured. And one person should not be responsible for coming up with measures. This is a community-wide effort. Just some examples. I don't know whether they're great or not. Just pulled them out. They seemed okay. The Delaware School Climate Survey, the Effective School Battery, the Georgia School Climate, the Maryland S3 Climate. For staff, the California School Staff Survey. For parents, the California School Parent Survey. If you want to understand why there was so much sort of controversy over something that's a real big opportunity and that should bring people together, I would look at the APA guidance, or the National Association of School Psychologists, rather, excuse me, guidance for measuring and using school climate data. They have a process. Did we follow that process? It doesn't seem like we did. And I think that that's true for a lot of things we initiate, and it creates division, divisiveness on things that should bring us together. There is no reason why DEI should have been the debate that it was. This is something that could have been from the ground up defined and gotten buy-in right from the start. Man, you mean me, not you, me, I forgot something. God damn it. Sorry. School climate, like 198 pages, I don't know. Like, you guys are getting frustrated that the meetings are getting long. I'm seeing like eye rolls, still better. You guys are a lot better with it. But listen, if you're throwing out that much paper within 24 hours, don't expect people to be perfectly prepared, especially if they're going to do a diligent job at looking at it. So I appreciate board members who apply diligence, who are uncertain, who ask a lot of questions, who are annoying, when they only have 24 hours to review 40 policies. So thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you. Any other member of the public wish to address the board?
Good evening again. Virginie Delward, Berkeley Heights resident, 2 kids in the district. Sorry for my blanket, it was a little bit cold up there, so I hope you are a little bit warmer than I am. I just want to follow up on the French point that we brought 2 months ago. You just passed a series of votes, and I heard you, Ms. Varley, say that it was the tenure teacher and teacher's position. So I see Mrs. Combe being here on the list of teacher. So do you confirm that she has been approved for next year? So do we have a French teacher? Basically, that's the underlying question. Also, I saw that she would be switching to high school. Do you confirm? Okay. And you have another person for Columbia Middle School, right? Okay. And then for the AP certification, I see in the first page of the document that the development days, Ms. Combe is scheduled to attend an AP program, so that's confirming that we are also keeping that part of the program in the district, right? Okay, cool. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And by the way, I think, yes, I think 3 hours of you for the award, I think maybe you could have come at 7:30 to avoid the 3 hours billing. That would have been great. So, sorry, thank you.
Any other comments from the public?
Good evening, Board. Peter Kovachev, Berkeley Heights resident. Just wanted to follow up on something I think a parent brought up a few meetings ago. There was a question on the upcoming curriculum changes regarding sexual education. I don't know if the parents received any update on that. Do we plan to?
Is that the only question?
No. Well, yes, actually, yes. I'm just curious to see if the parents are going to see any specifics.
Sure. So all of our curricular documents are posted on our website. So there really are very few changes to our health and physical education curriculum. So, and if there are any specific lessons that you wouldn't want your child to participate in, you can certainly speak to the school principal, and your child is allowed to opt out of anything that you wouldn't want your child to participate in. You have that option.
Okay, thank you. So basically, anything that's going to be approved for the fall is available for the public to see right now?
It's already on the website. We're still in a bit of a holding pattern as far as guidance from the state, because there are two specific, maybe three specific standards that seems to be, there debate on those standards. So the governor had put out, within the last month, had said that they were going to revisit those specific standards. But again, how we implement those standards is left up to the district themselves. So we, and I mentioned this at our last board meeting, we intend to implement those standards in a very developmentally appropriate way. And so, and I gave an example of the type of lessons we might teach in an elementary school. Again, middle school is different, high school is different when you're looking at these standards and what is addressed in those standards or what's discussed through those standards. But again, the state can tell us what standards to teach. They can't tell us how to teach them, and they can't tell us what lessons to use. So the lessons we feel very strongly about need to be developmentally appropriate. And again, anything that any parents have any objection to, they're allowed to opt out of those standards. But as I said, we're really in a holding pattern as far as guidance from the state and from the governor.
Do you know when we'll be able to make that decision? Obviously, there's a due date by the fall to adopt, right?
So it's supposed to be fall adoption. You are absolutely correct.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at the standards right now, and I talk about what's called a crosswalk, if you look at the 2014 standards in comparison to the 2020 standards, they're very similar. So our Berkeley Heights curriculum is going to change little to none depending on the grade level. But there may be one or two lessons that we have to tweak a bit to hit the standards exactly the way they're written, the new standards. But again, we're not going to do that until we get the green light from the governor and from the state. Okay. And once we do, they will be on the website. And again, every parent has the option to speak to the school nurses who are implementing the lessons, or the principals to say, okay, I'd prefer that my child not to participate in that.
Understood, thank you. I think that the concern here would be, what you consider appropriate may not be appropriate for a lot of parents.
100%.
Yeah, so
and that's why we don't want to take away any parent rights.
Right.
And not only does the district not want to do that, but I think the state feels the same way, which is why they very clearly state that parents are allowed to opt out.
Okay, so the public will have a chance to kind of provide feedback on whatever we decide to adopt for the fall?
Well, we can't, once the state says that we have to adopt this, we as a district don't have an option. They say these are the standards.
No, I mean in terms of the specific implementation that you mentioned, not just the guidelines, but the specific implementation that we plan.
But as far as lessons,
yeah.
Of course, absolutely. And again, not only do we ask for feedback, but we certainly want to give you the option to opt out if you so choose.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? If not, we'll move to new business. Any new business to come to the board this evening?
I just have one request. I don't know if this has to be a motion, but if we all can agree that agenda, like a draft agenda with attachments can, along, especially policies, can be shared 48 hours in advance. And if we, as a board, can agree that for every board meeting, we'll only have maybe 10 to 15 policies to review instead of 40. I think sometimes we're also seeing excess of 60 on the agenda. And if, given the notice that we get, it's just not humanly possible to review the policies if you're not on the policy committee, come up with your questions, send them to the Dr. Worley or the policy committee, and then circle back. So if it has to be a motion, I'm willing to do the motion, but if you agree.
Take it under advisement, so, yeah.
So
There's
you
not a
agree?
motion to
You don't need a motion, but you want to limit.
No, we do definitely understand the request.
So you will do it next, going forward, we'll have maybe
can-
15 policies, or?
We're talking two different things, please.
Okay.
You're asking for notice 48 hours in advance. I want to confer back with Dr. Varley to make sure we can. I'm not going to commit to something without confirming it.
Okay.
As far as the number of policies to review, I will refer to the policy committee on the number of policies they wish to review, and then bring forward to the committee. That's not going to be something the board as a whole, it's going to be up to the committee to make that decision of how many policies they want to bring board to it.
So so my understanding is everything that's on for first reading and second reading is coming as recommended from the policy committee?
I'm going to say yes.
But we had a policy committee member saying he was looking for legal research and still had outstanding questions. So who, do they make a recommendation collectively, all three of them, or is it, how does it work?
Without looking at the policies and the bylines, I can't answer that right now. I don't know. I don't have the answer in front of me. I
No,
don't know.
because there were some policies that he was still waiting on outstanding information, and
Okay,
they were
so,
on the agenda.
Si, if Tom wishes to speak, let Tom speak for himself. So,
Yeah, no,
I'm just gonna-
my understanding is when you just said every policy that's for first reading and second reading is recommended by the policy committee. I just heard that there were outstanding questions. So 40 policies were put up on the agenda for the board to approve with less than maybe a little over 24 hours, and they were all recommended. Okay.
I hear you.
So if you want me to motion something, I'm willing to.
There's nothing to mush, there's
No,
nothing
I would like to
motion.
propose a motion to limit to, for every board meeting, 15 policies.
That's not a motion, that would be a policy, so it would have to go to policy.
What is a like?
In other words, you
for
would
out
have to
for
make
reading.
a policy
Okay.
that would have to be approved by the board to
Mhm.
say that thou shalt not have more than 15 policies.
So do we have a policy currently that says that we
I
can
don't
have
think we do. That's
unlimited
what I'm
number of
saying. So you
policies
would have
thrown
to-
at?
That's what I'm saying. There is no, I'm assuming there's no policy. I'm going to look at the experts.
I'm not aware of one.
Okay.
And the second reading policies you've had for over a month, just to be clear.
Well, I thought that was, isn't that a decision of the committee?
Yes.
Trying to
And we
understand
cut it
that.
down. We did have a ton more. We started cutting it down to about 15 to 20 policies for first reading and 15 to 20 for second reading, because you got the second reading policies last month. So you didn't have to review those. Those should be reviewed, done, out. And then now the first reading you just got late yesterday. So there's an understanding there. We will get those to you more quickly.
Like 48 hours, maybe?
Yes, we'll do our best.
Okay.
There's a lot going on.
Can I clarify too, Dr. Riley? So typically our meetings are Thursdays, and memory serves, at least this year, we get our board packets on Monday, 72 hours. I mean, is that sort of the practice we're going to try to continue? Because that typically, I know it's not always possible based on what's going on and et cetera late in the year, but that seems like that's what we've been doing so far.
This month has been, toward the end of this month, we had a lot of people who were absent in the main office, so we didn't get it out as quickly as we would have liked to. So it's a little user error on our part.
But the 72-hour is still
Yeah,
sort of
72
the
hours,
goal, I guess.
That's the
per-
goal.
per week.
72 hours is always the goal.
Yep,
And the meetings are typically on a Thursday, so it was
correct.
a
So
day.
it's a Monday receipt for a Thursday meeting.
Thank you.
No problem.
And can we limit the report of the superintendent? Like, I feel And I've made this suggestion before, that if we are going to have any award ceremonies or special presentations, like Start Strong or a data presentation, we start at 7:30, sometimes depending on the exec session, and then those go on for like 2 hours. And now with the board attorney present here, they are on the clock. So why can't we have a separate meeting and I noticed that for the recognition of the retirees, I think some of them were not even here due to the hour at night. So why couldn't we have done it as a separate event where we could have recognized them, we could have given them some time to speak, and instead of a board meeting, under the report of the superintendent, which extends the board meeting time, we also have a board attorney on the clock. So I
Okay,
don't know
so
what's
is
the
it-
added value for that.
So why are we changing something we've been doing for all these years? So we're just going to go ahead and make a change now?
No, all I'm saying is it extends the meeting timeline. We couldn't even have retirees attend here because it was almost 8:30, and parents couldn't even attend. The whole point of having a public board meeting is for engagement with the public, right?
No, just to clarify, this is a public meeting of the board.
Okay.
That was a very clear statement made by Gwen during our training. This is a public meeting of the board.
Yes.
So, okay. Any other new business to come to the board, please?
I'd like to make a motion to have the board attorney prepare ethics charges against Ms. Akiri to be presented to the board in order to be filed with the State Ethics Commission. I don't want to comment any further, however, than to say every board member has enough information regarding the concerns and issues, enough to vote.
I'm sorry, say that again, Robert?
I'm sorry?
You want to make a motion? I'm sorry.
Do you want me to read it again?
Yeah, I want to hear what, making a motion.
I just read it.
Okay, please.
Do you want me to read it again? Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to have the board attorney prepare ethics charges against Ms. Akiri to be presented to the board in order to be filed with the State Ethics Commission. I don't want to say anything further except to say that every member, all 8 members, have enough information already to vote with respect to the issues and concerns.
Under what ethics code? There has to be a specific ethics code. You can't be vague on, under what? Which particular, is it A, B, C, which one? Which ethics code? You're an attorney, so you should be specific.
You should know that this isn't my area of expertise. Francis?
Not a surprise.
So, if the motion passes, I can get guidance from the board members on those charges.
Okay. So this is just a first step kind of thing for you to draft something, and they'll be very specific if and when they're drafted. Is that correct? Okay.
Do I have a second on this motion? I'm sorry, Pamela?
So we don't know the clarity on what the ethics charges are. It's vague. So there is a state ethics code, and I can pull it up. He has to be specific on which one. Otherwise, on what are you voting? If you want me to bring it up, I can bring it up.
Please clarify.
So, I mean, Robert, is there a general basis for it? I mean, that could be further explored.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Is there a general basis that you would like us to explore? Like as far as if you can't specify the particular subparagraphs of the code, is there particular types of concerns that you want us to explore?
Well, it's certainly multiple sections of the school ethics code. It would include supporting our administration, as well as information regarding our schools. We can start with that.
Well,
I'm sure.
the motion was just to prepare them, not to file them. So I can take guidance if it goes forward.
Okay, thank you.
I
I'll
don't-
take a look at the
I don't
code
think
myself
this-
and go
I don't
through
think-
section by section.
Can I speak about this? I don't think this is a proper way to proceed here. the board attorney would be obligated to defend Mrs. Akiri. I don't think the board attorney should be preparing the charges. If you think there's an ethics violation, I think you should write it yourself. But I don't think this is a good use of taxpayers' money, and I think it's a conflict because the board attorney would be obligated to defend her.
Can you clarify that from the answer?
If the motion passes, if the motion passes, I would have the consent of a majority of the board to go forward in filing those charges, and I would be authorized to consult with those individuals for the basis of those charges and present them. I would not be obligated to represent Ms. Akari if she's the subject of the charges, and that would be also if the allegations is that she's not acting in her role as a board member. However, that is something that can be explored, and Ms. Akari can seek her own counsel or special counsel and request that the board also cover her fees.
So we're going to have the board attorney being paid to prepare charges, and we're going to have the board paid to defend these charges?
You would only defend them, pay to defend them if she's found to have engaged in conduct within her role as a board member.
So I have the New Jersey Code of Ethics in front of me. It's 18A:12-24.1. And it clearly lists, and I can read them out for you. So I think when you have to file an ethics charge, the state of New Jersey specifically says on that form that no frivolous charges can be filed, okay? And there is A, it says, I'll uphold and enforce all laws, rules, and regulations of the State Board of Education and court orders pertaining to schools. Desired changes shall be brought about only through legal and ethical procedures. That's State's Code A. B, I will make decisions in terms of educational welfare of children and will seek to develop and maintain public schools that meet the individual needs of all children, regardless of their ability, race, creed, sex, or social standing. C, I'll confine my board action to policy making, planning, and appraisal, and I will help to frame policies and plans only after the board has consulted those who will be affected by them.
That would be one.
D, I will carry out my responsibility not to administer the schools, but together with my fellow board members to see that they are well run.
That would be one.
I will recognize, maybe you should look it up on your own phone. Let me finish reading. I will recognize that authority rests with the Board of Education and will make no personal promises nor take any private action that may compromise the board. There's
could be
F,
one.
G, H, I, and J. And New Jersey State Ethics Commission specifically asks for evidence, not just at the whims and fancies of a board member, to not even quote a specific one and say, I would like to move a motion.
I just named a few. When you quoted it, and I also
You need to provide
previously
evidence.
mentioned-
If you have, I think you should maybe do
Not
some
right
due
now, I
diligence,
don't.
go
Not
to the
at this
form.
point
No,
in
let me
time.
finish,
I
let me
don't.
finish, Mike.
Not
If
at
he's
this point.
making,
Robert,
if
let
he's
her finish.
making,
Let her finish.
if he's making a serious charge, that an ethics charge has to be filed, he needs to come prepared. He needs to look at the form. The form asks for evidence. The form asks for notarization that no frivolous charges are filed. If without all that due diligence, you cannot come to a public meeting and just say, I want to pay from the taxpayers' dollars to file these charges.
I understand what you're
And
saying.
especially an attorney, and this is something that I had not wanted to speak at a public board meeting, the same attorney firm has a conflict of interest because Dr. Worley forwarded them a meeting from January 6th about me making an ambiguous statement on why are we appointing or awarding this contract, and the attorney's firm spent
This is
money.
not germane to the motion. What's germane is
No,
whether or
germane to
not
the motion,
this
but I'm
is going
saying,
to
how
pass.
can this attorney be charged, the same board attorney who has a conflict of interest in saying I should not vote on any future contracts for them, be tasked with researching and filing charges? I disagree with that.
Okay.
And that's not ethical. So if you want to open up yourself to more ethical charges and the attorney's firm to the bar, fine, go ahead. I think whichever the board member wants this, need to do the due diligence, needs to do the homework, look at the ethics code, look at the form, provide the evidence, and then maybe ask, or maybe file it himself. Why should the taxpayers be paying for it? And especially from a firm which has already shown that they have a conflict of interest.
Okay. That was a second.
This is very bad. I'd like to just knock it off. Can we just adjourn and just come back next time? We'll talk about this. This is just very bad. I don't want board members filing ethics charges against each other. Come on, knock it off. It's just not right. Yes, go ahead. Yes. Sure.
Dr. Forger, I absolutely agree that we do not want to do ethics charges, which is why it is now May, the end of May, almost June, and this is the first time we are talking about it. But we have talked about this, that the board is liable as a whole, right? We have to protect our employees. That is one of the code of ethics. And when that is violated, unfortunately, the entire board is not doing their job. That includes me, right? I am held liable if I don't do my job. And part of my job is to protect our employees from public scrutiny, right? They ethically should be able to get a job once they leave here because they are not bashed in public, right? We are public officials. We can be bashed and yelled at, but that is not their job to be yelled at and flashed across social media, across public forums, in public documents. That is a problem, and that's a problem for the entire board, including you, Dr. Forger. We could be in trouble if we do not file ethics charges and say that we do not find this acceptable. So I agree, I don't want to do this, and it stinks. It stinks that we had to get here. It stinks that we already had to send out a memo telling people not to do this, and they still went and did it. I am frustrated too.
I think we need a cooling off period here. Can we consider this when we're going to meet again, and we're going to meet in June? Let's just all kind of cool off a little bit and talk about it in June. It's late.
Okay. We have a motion and we have a second. Julie, please go over the roll call.
Mrs. Akiri?
No.
Mr. Cianciulli?
Yes.
Dr. Forger?
No.
Mr. Hyman?
Yes.
Mrs. Penna?
Yes.
Mrs. Stanley? Mr. DeQuilla?
I don't take this very lightly, having personally gone through it. This is not where I thought we would be in May. I have to protect the interests of the board and the administration. I will be voting yes, but I'm very disappointed.
Motion passes.
No other new business. It's adjourned. Motion to adjourn, please. All in favor? Aye. Thank you.